Chapter 5:13. A Saturday seemed to have passed by peacefully. A Saturday without anything happening. It was a cloudy Sunday with gloomy weather. Long Shirua's office looked gloomy, as if it was injected by the gloomy weather in the pet hospital. Ghost Baby knocked on the door and came in with food in his hands. Chichikamaya asked him to send it to Lord Long, saying that he would feel better after eating it. He didn't doubt that Lord Long was just an ordinary person who needed to eat. He really thought that it was food that could make an adult happy. He was quite curious. Where's Chichikamaya? Master Gui is still checking those monsters who have woken up, Ghost Baby said respectfully, but according to Master Gui, they should have been freed from the control. Long Shirua nodded, looking a bit solemn. That is to say, Xuefeng really wants to do something. It also confirms the conjecture that the number of individuals he can control is limited. But what is he going to do next? Lord Long, Ghost Baby said, I contacted the monsters in this city one by one according to the address book you gave me. It said that several small monsters disappeared these 2 days. But their parents didn't care too much, saying that sometimes the children would leave home for a few days when they were upset. But I suspect that these missing small monsters. What about the adult ones? Are there any that you can't contact? There are quite a few of them. Ghost Baby frowned, but I can't be sure. The whereabouts of adult monsters are always uncertain. Speaking of the missing small monsters, Long Shirua suddenly said, that day Chichikamaya used his secretary to check the world. I saw that Nini seemed to be controlled too. You should have seen her that day in the underground parking lot, right? Nini? Ghost Baby frowned. A small cat monster, female. Ghost Baby recalled. That day, I did see a small cat monster, but I didn't pay attention to her when the monsters attacked me. The ones that were sent back didn't seem to be her. I didn't see Nini when I was on the rooftop of the building yesterday. Long Shirua was worried. Nini is friends with Xuefeng, Cheese, and Xiao Jiang. Don't mention this to Cheese. Ghost Child said helplessly, Lord Long, I'm afraid there's nothing I can do even if I want to. After coming back from that building, Cheese locked himself in his room and didn't come out for a day and a night. He didn't talk to anyone, not even his mother, Shu Xiaoshu. Long Shirua only felt an inexplicable irritation. She suddenly stood up. I want to go out for a walk. If anything special happens, let me know. Master, take care. Ghost Baby respectfully saw Long Shirua off. But Long Shirua just went out when Ghost Baby hurriedly ran out with a phone in his hand. Long Shirua forgot to take it. However, Long Shirua was nowhere to be seen when he chased after her. Forget it. Ghost Baby didn't care. As a Shinryu in Kelowna, he didn't need a phone, so he shrugged and closed the door. Outside the pet hospital, Long Shirua didn't even want to be recognized by others. Her appearance could be recognized by all the monsters in the whole Kelowna. So she took off the disguise made by Gui Qianni, and looked at the city where she had lived for more than 100 years with her current appearance. After a long time, it was already evening and the sun was about to set. But she still had no clue. Should I go to that shop? This thought suddenly popped up in Long Shirua's mind. But it was only for a moment, and she dismissed it. She told herself that she couldn't. As a Shinryu in Kelowna, she never gave in to anything. Calm down, I'm just not used to the sudden loss of power. But I'm still me. I still have my memories. After all, she was the true dragon of the godly land. The dislocation of the sudden loss of power did disturb her for a few days. But if she became like this body at this moment because of the loss of power, she became a helpless little girl. Shinryu's pride wouldn't allow her to do that. Think about it carefully. Long Shirua suddenly closed her eyes. Although her power was gone, her ability to calm her mind was still there. Even in the busy city, she was still able to keep her mind as clear as a mirror. Everything that had happened in the past few days flashed through her mind, and the noises in the bustling city were separated one by one. Suddenly, She opened her eyes and looked at the huge advertising screen installed in the building in front of her. At this time, the advertisement that was playing pulled her back to reality from this kind of unraveling thinking. This was the hottest topic in the city this week. It was an advertisement for a TV show that had risen to the level of a concert. It was tonight, 7:30 p.m. Flyer. The flyer that Ghost Child brought back last time. Could it be? Long Shirua suddenly put her hand into her skirt, and then her expression changed. Where's the phone? But she couldn't care so much now. She picked up her skirt and ran. She walked to a taxi that was parked on the side of the road. She cut into the line of people waiting to take the taxi and knocked a man who was about to get on the car away. She jumped into the car and slammed the door shut. The taxi driver was startled by the sudden appearance of the little girl. Little girl, where are your parents? Drive. Kelowna's Shinryu roared. If you don't drive now, I'll call the police. I'll jump out and report you for child molestation. And give me your phone. The driver. Old driver, damn. This little girl is so fierce. Maybe she's not young, but just suffering from dwarfism? Here. The driver had no choice but to pass the phone to the back seat. Long Shirua took the phone and wanted to call Ghost Child. What's the phone number again? Forget it, call Chichi Kamaya. What's the phone number again? Damn it. Since there's an address book in the phone, who will remember the phone number? That. Little girl, where are you going? You haven't told me. To the pet. No, it's too late. Long Shirua frowned. Gymnasium. Go to the gymnasium. Hurry up. The taxi driver murmured, but didn't say anything. He stepped on the accelerator and drove faster. Although there was still more than an hour before the official opening, the gymnasium was already crowded with spectators waiting to enter. 60 or 70,000 people needed a lot of time. Juga. Juga, here. Here. Carrying 2 big bags in his hands and wearing oversized clothes, the fat man panted as he ran to a girl who was waving at him. I bought a lot of things. You just ate something, didn't you? Pig. The girl pouted and scolded him, but took out a tissue to wipe his sweat. You can't do anything about it. Juga giggled. The girl took his arm and smiled sweetly. It's rare to get 2 votes, let's go in. Jipping, I'm here. Chapter 5:14. Lin Feng tilted his body about 30 degrees to the left and was reading a report in his hand. The reason why he tilted his body like this was because Officer Ma, who was sitting in front of the table, had his neck tilted. Damn Rinziling, I just squinted for a while and my neck was crooked. Forget it, I'll go find an old Chinese medicine doctor after work. It's inconvenient for my neck to be crooked all day. Why are you reading so fast? Are you in a hurry? But Sir Mao, whose neck was crooked, was not happy to see anything at this time. Seeing Lin Feng's crooked body made him even more annoyed. He was annoyed, he just wanted to scold him. That. Sir Mao, I have an appointment with someone. A woman? A girlfriend? Lin Feng smiled embarrassedly, scratched his head shyly and said, She's not my girlfriend, we're just online friends. We agreed to go to the gymnasium to watch the concert. You see, Ma Howd muttered, it seems to be a big event. A venue with 60 or 70,000 people. Sir Ma? Ma Howd waved his hand and said, Okay, you can leave the work to your colleagues outside. Go quickly, don't be late. Thank you, Sir Ma. Ma Howd rolled his eyes. After seeing Lin Feng leave, he lit a cigarette and thought about the 2 recent cases. The 2 cases were over 48 hours ago. The investigation was getting more and more difficult. Sir Ma felt more and more irritated. He simply packed up his things and left the office to find a doctor. Unexpectedly, when he walked to the door of the police station, he saw 2 policemen, a man and a woman, a taxi driver and a little girl pulling here. What's going on? What are you doing? Ma, Officer Ma. When the male police officer saw this, he quickly saluted and said, It's like this. This old master brought a little girl here to report a case. He said that the little girl might have been lost or had an argument with her family. But when we asked her, she couldn't say anything. She just said that we should send her to the gymnasium and that she wasn't missing or running away from home. Huh! Sir Ma was stunned. The experienced driver hurriedly said, "Officer, this child suddenly ran into my car. I asked her parents, but they didn't say anything. She even said that if I didn't send her to the gymnasium, she would make a scene and say that I touched her. Heavens, this child is old enough to be my granddaughter. Can I do this kind of thing? Ah, sir, I have been doing my job for more than 10 years. Everyone says that my character is good. Don't listen to this child's nonsense. Here, this is my evidence. Take a look." Okay. Ma Howd quickly waved his hand and glanced at the little girl who was caught by the policewoman. He found that the little girl's eyes were a little scary. What kind of weird things could happen in this day and age? Wasn't this little brat maturing too early? So Ma Howd squatted down and patted the little girl's head, saying gently, "Little girl, are you in trouble? Don't you worry about telling Uncle. Uncle will help you. This person, did he touch you?" "Ah, sir. I'm innocent. If I had such a thing, would I be able to bring her here?" The old driver suddenly blushed. Would I be able to do such a heartless thing? If I did, I would die a horrible death. Okay, I'm just asking, don't be so agitated. Ma Howd stared at the experienced driver with disdain. At this moment, the little girl who was patted on the head, Kelowna Shinryu, who was now just a little girl, felt that she was completely broken. Heavens, she didn't expect that the driver would directly bring her to the police station. "Where are your parents? Are you alone? What's their name? Where do you live?" Sir Ma kept asking. "Can you?" Long Shirua took a deep breath. "Can you not say anything and send me to the gymnasium?" "Gymnasium? Are your parents there? Are they working or something?" Sir Ma was always very patient with children. "Can you stop asking?" Long Shirua was at her wits' end. Her body trembled and she suddenly raised her head. God knew what she had experienced in these few minutes. Long Shirua blinked her big eyes and said in a childish voice, "Uncle, you're so handsome. You're obviously a good person. Can you take me to the gymnasium? My grandma said she would wait for me there." She was broken. Long Shirua felt that she could get drunk later. She was broken. Heavens! I'm the true dragon of the divine land, but I have to act cute in this place? What's your grandma's name? Or we can contact her directly. Sir Ma still talked with the little girl patiently. This reminded him of the time when he was a child of this age. Those days, he was very happy. "There's no need. Just send me there. I beg you, uncle, please." She was too cute. Sir Ma felt that his heart was about to melt. How could there be such a cute little girl in the world? "Well, what's your name?" Ma Howd nodded and said, "The police uncle needs to know your name." Longer. Ma Howd nodded and patted Long Shirua's head. "Okay, uncle will take you to the gymnasium now. Don't pat my head again. Sir Ma, are you really going to take her there?" The police officer asked curiously. "We can do this." Ma Howd shrugged and said, "It's okay. I'm going there to see a Chinese medicine doctor. Look at my neck, it can't be crooked all day, right?" Ma Howd smiled and held Long Shirua's hand. "Come on, Longer, uncle will take you to your grandma." The policeman looked into the distance. Officer Ma was really overflowing with love. "So, just bear with it for a while and it will be over. Calm down. Calm down, Long Shirua, you have to calm down." Kelowna Shinryu kept hypnotizing herself and finally got into the car. Unexpectedly, Ma Howd, this experienced father, seemed to be in a good mood. He hummed a little tune and slowly wiped the windshield of the car. Then, he carefully put on the seatbelt for Longer. After Ma Howd put on the seatbelt for himself, He patted her little head. Longer, are you hungry? Do you want to eat something first? Uncle, can we start the car? Longer's fingers, which were pressed under her skirt, were slightly bent and holding on to the leather of the front passenger seat. Ah yes. Start the car. Sit tight. Mahoud nodded and inserted the key to start the engine. Then, he suddenly stretched his crooked neck over and said, "Oh, I remember there's some chocolate here. Let me get it for you." I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Longer clenched her small fists and stood up. She grabbed Sir Ma's neck with both hands and shook him hard. Let me go, start the car. Okay. Let me go, cough. Let me go first. Mahoud painfully patted Longer's arm. This little girl was so fierce? It must be because of her family background. Sigh, was it because she lacked love? She said she was a grandmother. Was she a left-behind child, so she was more irritable? So pitiful. Mahoud calmed himself down and shook his neck. This child finally let go of him. Then, he took a deep breath and stepped on the accelerator gently. When did my neck return to normal? He didn't expect it to be fine after being shaken by this little girl. Not bad. He saved a lot of medical fees. This child, was she a little angel? She was so cute. Neon lights, night fell, and people came and went. Ching Yiran sat alone under the pedestrian bridge. He was wearing a cap that was lowered so low that it almost covered his eyes. He was also wearing sunglasses. There was a wooden guitar hanging on his body. His fingers didn't affect him from plucking the strings, because the song was very simple and didn't require any skills. The alley in front of him used to carry the wooden guitar was open. There were a few coins and some notes, 1 yuan. The only 5 yuan note was given to him by an old lady who passed by not long ago. They were just passing by and didn't stop to listen. They simply left the money and hurried away. No one listened. No one knew that he had been singing here for the whole afternoon. Ching Yiran's voice was a little hoarse. He sang one song after another without stopping. He was a little nervous at the beginning, but now, he was singing numbly. He sang again, Blue Lotus, Lost. No one stopped. He hoped that someone would stop, but no one stopped. Sure enough, after losing the guitar, he couldn't move anyone, even if his voice was hoarse and he sang with his heart. Even if the song was simple, his fingers were already numb from the pain after a whole afternoon. But why was he still here? Ching Yiran thought that he should be used to this kind of situation. Didn't he and Hong Guan experience a lot when they were in Hohai and Sanlitun? Hong Guan, he. During this period of time, did he feel the same when he was alone at the square? Are you also hoping that someone will stop? Ching Yiran stopped singing for the whole afternoon. He looked at the time. The competition was about to start. He packed up the things here silently. At first, he thought that he would be enlightened if he returned to his original state. But it was useless. After half a day, he still didn't gain anything. He just felt more and more confused. It's me, can you call a car and send me there? Ching Yiran called Ching Yun. I'm at Huanshe East Road. Okay, I'll wait. Thank you, Manager Cheng. Let's go and see Hong Guan's performance. Ching Yiran took a deep breath, glancing at the screen of the building in front, the advertisement. Unexpectedly, his phone rang. Ching Yiran gave a start, finding it was a strange call. He frowned and chose to answer it. Hello, is anyone there? Who are you? Ching Yiran wasn't sure, but he seemed to have heard this voice before. Yes, I'm Yu Dan Qiang. Fishball. Chang? Ching Yiran gave a start. It's me. The boss who sells fish ball noodles. Is that you? You said something about Beishir last time. I met him. Chapter 5:15. If they looked back at the club, they would find that during this period of time, Tai Yinzi, the rookie of the club, often left early and returned late at night. He was even more mysterious than the club's boss Luo, as if he had joined some mysterious cultivation class. Of course, Boss Luo didn't care much about the whereabouts of the employees. In fact, only Tai Inzi would come back often. Black Soul number 18 had been out for a long time and hadn't returned. Of course, Boss Luo didn't care much about this. He gave more freedom to the Black Soul envoys than his predecessor. Taiyinzi, it's rare that you didn't go out today. Luoqiu looked at Taiyinzi, who had been sitting in the hall for a while eating the cheesecake made by Miss Maid, and smiled. Well, Taiyinzi's eyes turned and then said quickly, I've thought it through. I want to stay with Master and listen to Master's teachings. Luoqiu took the napkin from Yu Yi, and said after wiping his lips, Taiyinzi, when did you become so studious? I'm doing this for upwards ho. Ahaha, Taiyinzi said with his head held high. I can't always be a burden. So I need to improve myself. I see. Luoqiu nodded, as if he was very happy to hear Taiyinzi's words. But he suddenly shook his head and said, But it's a pity that I have to go out with Yu Yi later. Taiyinzi's eyes lit up, but he moved his lips as if he was hit hard. It's not a pity, it's not a pity. It's just a matter of 1 or 2 days. Master, if you're busy, you have to hurry. Unexpectedly, Miss Maid said, Master, can you wait for a while? Yu Yi hasn't finished cleaning today. If that's the case, all right, let's wait. Luoqiu smiled and nodded in agreement. But Taiyinzi suddenly stood up. Yu Yi, Miss. Master's matter was of utmost importance. As servants, we must do our best to cooperate, right? Oh? Taiyinzi, it seems that I can't refute what you just said. Miss Maid narrowed her eyes and said, So, what do you want to say? Taiyinzi said seriously, Yu Yi, Miss, being able to accompany Master is a great honor. How could you make your master wait? Look, why don't you leave the cleaning to me? Please accompany your master out. Hand it over to you? Yu Yi said softly, Taiyinzi, you're so enthusiastic. Instead, I suddenly feel a little uneasy. This old Taoist guarantees with my head. There must be no problem. Taiyinzi took a deep breath and said, I will never break anything here. And I won't touch anything here. If I touch anything, I will voluntarily extend my service for 10 years. Only 10 years? Miss Maid smiled and said, You're so stingy. Then more than 10 years, plus 1 day? Taiyinzi swallowed his saliva. Luoqiu smiled and said, Well, Yu Yi, don't be sarcastic. It's rare to see him so serious. I like it very much. Let's do as Taiyinzi said. You should relax once in a while. Yes. Master was absolutely right. It's the truth. Yu Yi, Miss, you've worked hard. You should have a holiday once in a while to relax. Taiyinzi quickly echoed. Miss Maid looked embarrassed, since Master said so. Well then. Taiyinzi, this is the key to the utility room. Don't lose it. I'll check it when I come back. A long key appeared in front of Taiyinzi out of thin air. This newbie swallowed his saliva and hurriedly said, I will definitely do it. Will. Master, please wait a moment. Allow Yu Yi to go back and change clothes. It's my pleasure. Boss Luo smiled and watched Miss Maid go upstairs. Soon after, Miss Maid took the boss's arm and walked out of the door side by side. Taiyinzi, I'll leave this place to you. Then the rookie Black Soul messenger heaved a long sigh of relief. Taiyinzi waited for a while. After calculating the time, he was sure that the master wouldn't come back suddenly. Taiyinzi then took a deep breath and looked at the ancient long key in his hand. Then he quickly walked to the door of the utility room. He opened the door with trembling hands and walked in. He turned his eyes and walked to a cabinet without saying anything. He opened the glass door and took out something from it, the best that Boss Luo bought with 1,000 yuan not long ago. Good heavens! Taiyinzi muttered to himself. If it weren't for the fact that we all have faith, I wouldn't care about you. Bah! I'll get off here. Wait for me. Qing Yiran said to the driver. This was the car of Feiyun Entertainment. As for the driver, of course, he was the rookie that the company valued. Okay, Mr. Ching, I'll wait for you in the parking space in front. Ching Yiran didn't say anything. He quickly opened the door and walked into the alley. He was familiar with this area, so he turned left and right. It didn't take long for him to arrive at the street where a nightclub was located. Here, he saw the fish egg stall from afar, and also saw the boss, Yu Danqiang. Ching Yiran quickly walked behind Yu Danqiang and shouted. Yu Danqiang quickly put down the things in his hand and walked to Ching Yiran in his blue slippers. Little brother, you came so fast. Let's not talk about this first. You said you saw that person. Is that true? Ching Yiran said seriously. Fish Balchong raised his eyebrows and said, Of course. I, your uncle, have never lied to anyone. Hey, did you see him? It's the old man with the afro eating noodles over there. Ching Yiran was stunned and frowned. Boss, are you kidding me? I came from afar. Don't lie to me. I remember you said it was a young man last time. Ugh. Did I say a young man? Yu Danqiang was stunned and then shook his head. Absolutely not. It's this afro old man. How can I mistake such an obvious feature? If you don't believe me, go and ask him yourself. Ching Yiran was helpless. He could only walk to the small table with doubts, looking at the old man with the afro, a checkered shirt, tight pants, and crocodile leather shoes. What kind of disguise is this? However, Ching Yiran felt a strong retro style from this weird old man. This old man, may I ask? The old man with the afro raised his head with an impatient look. What's the matter? Do I know you? Ching Yiran frowned. The voice sounded familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had heard it before. However, he didn't delve into it but said quickly, I heard from the boss that sold fish balls that you bought a Bess from him some time ago, right? Bess? The old man with the afro scratched his head and then suddenly realized, Oh, you mean that Bess? Yes, that's right. Why, do you have a problem? Ching Yiran was overjoyed and quickly sat down. Uncle, that Bess is very important to me. Can you transfer it to me? You want it? The old man with the afro frowned, but I also like it very much. Besides, I bought it with real money. Why should I give it to you just because you want it? Ching Yiran took a deep breath and said, Uncle, this Bess is really important to me and to my friend. Just give me a price. How much did you buy it? I'll buy it back with double the price. Unexpectedly, the old man with the afro slammed the table and snorted. Humph, is it a matter of money? Damn it, do I look like a person who does it for money? I'm sorry. Uncle, that's not what I meant. Don't be angry. Ching Yiran said quickly, I'm just too impatient. Because it's really important to me. That's why I'm so impatient. The old man with the afro frowned. Is it really important to you? Ching Yiran took a deep breath and nodded heavily. The old man with the afro snorted. Since it's so important, why sell it? Why is it still important to you? Ching Yiran smiled bitterly. Things are more or less complicated. But please believe me. It's really important to me and my friend. So, if it's possible, please sell it to me. The old man with the afro pondered for a while. Seeing Ching Yiran's anxious expression, he said slowly, I can sell it to you, but you have to prove to me that it's really important to you. Chapter 5:16. You know, sir, how do you want me to prove it? Ching Yiran pondered for a moment and asked. The old man with the afro snorted. Funny. You keep saying that this is very important to you, very important. I want you to prove it, but you still ask me? Is there such a reason? Ching Yiran was speechless. He became more and more anxious. Watching the time passing by, the feeling of wanting to leave became stronger and stronger. It was a kind of intuition. Intuition told him that Hong Guan's performance might be able to awaken his lost ability to play the guitar. This was a very urgent desire, even making him feel that if he missed this opportunity, it would be very difficult to find it again. He didn't want to waste time here with this strange old man. If he could directly buy Bess back at a high price, that would be ideal. But this strange old man was obviously deliberately making things difficult. Perhaps he wanted to raise the price? Cheng Yiran took a deep breath and said, "How about this? Sir, can you give me your contact number? I'm actually in a hurry now. As for Bess, we can talk about it later. Please believe me, I am very sincere in wanting to buy it back. The price is negotiable." Unexpectedly, the old man didn't answer, but looked at Yu Danxiang and said, "Boss, the bill." After the old man put a bill on the table, he stood up directly and was about to leave, without looking at Cheng Yiran. Sir, where's your contact number?" Cheng Yiran couldn't help but ask anxiously. The old man with the afro didn't turn his head and said, "No, why should I leave it to you? You said this is very important to you, but now you want to leave immediately. I don't see any sincerity." Cheng Yiran said helplessly, "Sir, you're older than me, and you have more experience than me. You should know that sometimes people really have to make a choice in a dilemma, and you can't attend to one thing and lose the other. If you were me, and there was a very important thing in front of you at the same time, what would you choose?" The old man with the afro suddenly turned around. "Extremely important? Then let me ask you, is this a matter of life and death?" Cheng Yiran subconsciously shook her head. The old man with the afro said indifferently, "Is your wife giving birth? Family member critically ill? Or was he in a hurry to save them? Or is it because you have a big business deal that you want to cancel if you don't go? Everyone in the company is waiting for you to start your business? It concerns the livelihood of hundreds of people?" Cheng Yiran shook his head one by one. He was unable to explain his true reason. But he couldn't help but think, what this old man is saying is probably really important. The old man with the afro finally said indifferently, "Then tell me, what is more important than this Bess? What's wrong with me returning it to you? If you can't justify it, I'm sorry, but I won't sell this Bess. You won't be able to find me in the future, and don't bother me anymore." "I got it." Cheng Yiran suddenly took a deep breath. "Uncle, I won't go. I'll keep an eye on you until you're willing to sell it back to me." The old man with the afro suddenly said, "Oh, then you can follow me." After saying that, the old man with the afro turned around and walked away. Cheng Yiran frowned and braced himself to follow him. He didn't know where the old man with the afro was going to go, so he just followed him silently. And his mood became more and more anxious. He calculated the time, calculating whether he would be able to catch up with Hong Guan's appearance. Each step was more difficult than the previous one. Each step was heavier than the previous one, but it was also unstable. After walking for about a street, the old man with the afro suddenly stopped and walked into an old house, but told Cheng Yiran not to follow him. Not long after, the old man with the afro came down with a bag in his hand. Cheng Yiran even recognized that it was the bag that Hong Guan used to carry his best. He couldn't help but be overjoyed. "Uncle, you're going to..." Unexpectedly, the old man with the afro didn't say anything, but carried the bag on his back, looked at the direction, and then walked in another direction. Cheng Yiran was helpless. Lowering his head and sighing, he could only continue to follow him. The Bess was on the old man's back, within reach. With a little strength, it seemed that he could peel it off from the old man's body. Cheng Yiran considered this possibility, but at the same time, he found that the old man was walking in the opposite direction from the gymnasium. "Uncle, where are you going?" Cheng Yiran quickened his pace, walking side by side with the old man. "We've been walking for a long time. You should tell me, where are you going?" "What? You still can't let go of your important matter?" The old man with the afro said indifferently, "I didn't force you to follow me. If you feel that the other matter is more important, just go. Don't force yourself and make things difficult for me." I didn't mean that." Cheng Yiran sighed, continuing to follow him. He followed him, walking through the bustling streets, the downtown area, and the remote alleys. This kind of aimless wandering made Ching Yiran impatient to an unimaginable degree. What was the meaning of this? What was the meaning of walking forward aimlessly? He didn't see any intention of the old man to sell him. Instead, it seemed that the old man was telling him to back off. In the end, Ching Yiran didn't know what he was doing at all. This feeling seemed to bring him back to the past. When he came out of the detention center, he aimlessly went all the way south, leaving the courtyard of the old alleys in the capital. He even had the idea of giving up rock and roll. He even had this idea earlier than the first band member who said that he wanted to leave. But he didn't tell anyone. He didn't know how he had been holding on. Whenever the members of the team were discouraged, he would always cheer them up. He always said that in order to make Xiaoming's dream come true, they must persist on this road. Since they had come so far, wouldn't it be a pity to give up now? No one wanted to give up halfway, and they were even more unwilling to give up the efforts they had made. He didn't want to give up his own sweat and time. He didn't want to give up the pain he had endured, and he didn't want to give up the tears he had shed alone. In this way, although he knew that there would be no result, he still held on numbly. It was meaningless, numb, and a waste of time, obviously, as long as he stopped now, as long as he rushed there, as long as he went to see Hong Guan. But when he felt Hong Guan playing the guitar, he might be able to regain the lost ability and continue to use the guitar to go all the way. Those who held on and pursued at that time could be obtained with this guitar. Obviously, it was better to give up. There was still time. There was still time. If he stopped here, Hong Guan didn't know that he had found it. If he didn't know, he might not blame him. Suddenly, he stopped. But it was the old man with the afro who stopped in front of him. He slowly turned around, yawned lazily, and looked at Ching Yiran expressionlessly. "Uncle." Ching Yiran frowned and sighed at the same time. He was about to say, "Let's stop here, I don't want it anymore." "Well, it's almost here." The old man with the afro looked around. Ching Yiran found that he had followed the old man to the bridge. This was the bridge that connected the two sides of the city. At this time, the old man with the afro opened the bag on his back. Under Ching Yiran's astonished gaze, he threw it out of the bridge. Below was the flowing river. Seeing the best was thrown down, Ching Yiran angrily grabbed the old man's collar and roared, "You bastard! What the hell are you doing? What the hell do you want? Didn't you say that it was very important to you? Then why don't you go and find it?" The old man with the afro said indifferently, "If you can find it, it's yours." "Are you kidding me?" Ching Yiran clenched his fists. "How big is this river? How can I find it?" "Hit me if you want," the old man said casually. "During the time you hit me, it may go further." "Ah!" Ching Yiran roared. His clenched fists were hard to the limit. He raised them high but released them at the moment of hitting the old man. Instead, he pushed the old man to the ground. Ching Yiran turned around and rushed to the railing of the bridge, crossing over the railing. He jumped down. "What am I doing? But no matter what, since I've jumped down, I'll find it." In the water, Ching Yiran, who had lost consciousness due to the dizziness caused by the fall, suddenly exhaled. He moved his arms crazily and floated to the surface of the water. Ching Yiran was not a good swimmer. His physical strength did not allow him to find the thing in the river. As if he was walking on flat ground. It was impossible to find it. Such a heavy thing should have sunk into the water long ago. He should have thought of this. The thing had sunk to the bottom. He should have thought of this long ago. But why did he jump down? He did not look back. But in the end he sank into the dark river. This time, he did not have the strength to swim up. "It's over, it's over. Hey! Wake up! Wake up! Idiot! Wake up!" Cough! His throat seemed to have been ravaged by something. His nasal cavity was even more uncomfortable. He felt even more shivering, his whole body was soaked. Ching Yiran tried to open his eyes. He tried to open a small gap. He only saw a mess of messy hair. This old man's hair had been soaked by the water. Uncle, you cough cough. Ching Yiran rested for a while before sitting up. He looked at the place where he was. In front of him was the river and above was the bridge. He was indeed at the pier under the bridge. That old man was now wringing the water stains on his clothes. I didn't expect you would really jump down. Thank you for saving me, Uncle. Ching Yiran sighed. Then he looked up at the night sky and said with a bitter smile, I have a good brother who said I often made stupid mistakes. Actually, he was right. The old man didn't look back. He said indifferently, What? You don't blame me for throwing it away? Ching Yiran gave a start. Then he smiled and lowered his head, saying softly, Just throw it away. Just when I thought I was going to die, I realized that maybe I should have thrown it away long ago. Actually, it was me who didn't throw it away. Is that so? The old man with the afro nodded his head and put on the checkered shirt that had been wrung dry. Ching Yiran now lay down. It seemed to be more comfortable. At this moment, he looked at the night sky with a calm heart. After a while, Ching Yiran suddenly asked, Uncle, what time is it now? It's almost 9 o'clock. It's already 9 o'clock. It seems that I can't make it. Ching Yiran smiled and sighed. He didn't know why, but he felt more relaxed than before. At this moment, he didn't even want to think too much. He just wanted to lie down like this. What? Do you still want to go to the place you just wanted to go? No. Ching Yiran shook his head. I can't make it. Besides, it's good now. Where did you want to go originally? The gymnasium. Ching Yiran sat up with a relaxed face. He looked at the night sky and said calmly, Speaking of which, we really went a long way, Uncle. I'll send you there. The old man suddenly said. Ching Yiran gave a start. He shook his head and said, No need. I'll sit for a while. I can go by myself later. I'm fine. Didn't you want to go to that place? Yes, I did. Ching Yiran's expression suddenly became complicated. Then he smiled and said, I'm not afraid of you laughing. When I first followed you, I was counting the time. I was counting the time until I couldn't follow you anymore. I had to go, but... He shook his head and didn't continue. Let's go. I'll send you there. The old man pulled Ching Yiran up. It's really not necessary. Besides, I can't make it. Uncle, you're wet. Let's go home. Don't catch a cold. What are you talking about? You're so annoying. The gymnasium, right? I can send you there in less than 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Uncle, are you kidding? Here is. He suddenly looked up and saw a flash of colorful light in the sky. Then he heard the roaring sound, the sound of cheering. You've lived here for so long. Don't you know that the gymnasium is next to the East Bridge? Gymnasium. Ching Yiran turned around in disbelief. It had been right behind him all along. Chapter 5:17. In a room in the pet hospital, Chichi Kamaya was seriously looking at the beaker in front of him. The flame of the alcohol lamp was slightly raised by him to ensure that the temperature of the flame could reach the desired effect. His every movement was delicate and steady, as if he was treating a sacred work of art. Suddenly, Chichi Kamaya opened his eyes, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He flew up and stretched out his hands from his sleeves. It was hard to imagine that the slow old tortoise could be so fast. Chichi Kamaya shouted, and picked up a pair of chopsticks from the table. His hands were as fast as lightning, and the noodles in the beaker were stirred. The golden noodles were rolled into a ball, and then suddenly lifted up. The excess moisture was wiped away in the air, and then it fell into another beaker. Listen, ghost baby, to make a good instant noodle, you need to put your heart into it. You have to grasp the timing perfectly. If you add 1 minute more, the noodles will be too soft. If you add 1 minute less, the noodles will be too hard. Gui Qianni sucked the cooked noodles into his mouth, and taught the ghost baby. Ghost baby sighed and nodded casually, Master Tortoise, as long as you are happy. Chichi Kamaya ate the noodles and said, Where is Lord Long? Master said he wanted to go out for a walk. Ghost Baby said directly, he has been out for more than half an hour. Maybe he is annoyed. Chichi Kamaya shook his head and didn't say anything more. By the way, do you want a bag of pickled cabbage? I will cook it for you. Master Tortoise, I am not in the mood, please don't make trouble. Ghost Baby sat down and stared at Chichi Kamaya with a pair of dead fish eyes. At this moment, a strange man in a black suit suddenly came in with a hurried look. Master Tortoise, we found a letter outside the door. Letter? What letter? Chichi Kamaya was stunned. I don't know, I didn't read it. The strange man continued, it's not addressed to anyone, just this letter. It was a white envelope with nothing written on it. Chichi Kamaya frowned and immediately opened it. He quickly glanced at it, and then his face suddenly froze. Master Tortoise, what's written on the letter? Ghost Baby asked curiously. Chichi Kamaya's face became even more serious as he said seriously, I'm afraid this was sent by Zhuefeng. The letter said that we have to rush to South Cloud Town before 8 o'clock tonight. If we don't come, then we'll have to wait to collect the corpse. South Cloud Town. Ghost Baby frowned, about 200 kilometers away. Why did Zhuefeng go there? I don't know. Chichi Kamaya could not help but frown, thinking about how to deal with the situation. 200 kilometers was not difficult for the monsters present, and it was not impossible for them to arrive before 8 o'clock in the evening. The problem was that he didn't know what Zhuefeng was planning. Master Tortoise, should we go? Ghost Baby said helplessly, Lord Long hasn't come back yet, should we go and look for him? South Cloud Town. I'm afraid it's a trap for him to choose such a far place. Chichi Kamaya directly shook his head. Whether it's a trap or not, we have to go there and take a look. It's better to be safe than sorry. This Zhuefeng can control others, and we don't know how many innocent monsters he has in his hands. He's possessed by the devil, and he can do anything. We can't wait anymore. Ghost Baby, bring some men with you, I want to go there and take a look myself. With that, Chichi Kamaya quickly looked at the strange man and said, You stay here with a few brothers. When Lord Long comes back, tell him about this matter. In addition, keep an eye on the monsters here. If they have any strange movements, deal with them in a special way. It's okay to be violent. I understand, Master Tortoise. Chichi Kamaya took a deep breath, sweeping the noodles in the beaker into his mouth, and said in a low voice, Prepare the car. Chichi Kamaya quickly opened the door, and walked towards the door of the hospital. At this time, Shu Xiaoshu with a big belly walked over with a pot. Oh, Master Tortoise, are you going out? Seeing Shu Xiaoshu was in a panic and wanted to salute, Chichi Kamaya waved his hand and stopped Shu Xiaoshu with air. You're pregnant, no need to be so polite. What are you doing? Shu Xiaoshu sighed. I'm going to send some food to Cheese. He has locked himself up for more than a day, without eating or speaking. I'm worried. He's still young, and there are some things he can't figure out. Chichi Kamaya didn't want to say more and then comforted her. When he figures it out, he'll come out. Maybe it's a good thing for him. We monsters are different from human beings by nature. We need to face all kinds of perplexities. Although a human's life is short, only a few decades, they are usually able to quickly overcome their confusion. However, we can't. The growth of the demon's mind is too slow. Perhaps this is a disguised form of hindrance from the world to the demon. But once we overcome it, we'll get more. Cheese is a smart kid and his eyes are firm. I think he'll figure it out soon, so don't worry too much. Just take care of the baby in your belly. I know, Master Tortoise. Shu Xiaoshu bowed respectfully. Chichi Kamaya opened the door and left by car. Shu Xiaoshu came to Cheese's room quickly, and gently knocked on the door. Seeing that the food she brought in the morning was still untouched, she couldn't help but sigh. After changing the food, she left silently. Hearing the sound of knocking on the door, with the rat monster's sense of smell, he could easily smell the smell of food. It was probably his mother who brought him fresh food again. Was it tiring to sit for a whole day and night? Of course it was tiring, especially on this cold and hard floor. How good would it be if he could directly skip this kind of pain? How good would it be if he could directly become a strong-willed and well-versed person? Cheese sometimes read some novels published in the human world, such as online novels. The character of the protagonists was very good from the beginning. He was very envious. No matter what kind of pain, failure, frustration, loss, or sadness they encountered from the beginning to the end, they could always overcome it. We all project ourselves into that ideal state in order to escape from reality, right? Cheese played with the whistle he always carried. For a long time, he thought that if his father was still alive, maybe he could give him some hint. He put the whistle in his mouth several times, but he resisted the urge to blow it several times. On the one hand, he was afraid that this kind of whistle would attract Iron Whistle, and he was afraid that it would be killed by Ghost Baby or other monsters. On the other hand, he was still afraid that it would attract Iron Whistle, and he was afraid that Iron Whistle would really go crazy and hurt all the monsters here. Cheese heaved a long sigh. He suddenly found that some of what Juefeng said was right. He always wanted to do something that had both sides, and hoped that all aspects could become better. Maybe he thought that Juefeng was like this, and Xiao Jiang and the others should be like this. In this way, everyone could be happy together. How good would that be? But am I forcing my will on them? Are they just forcing themselves to cooperate with me? I can't figure it out. Cheese directly lay on the ground. The cold floor couldn't calm him down. Instead, he became more and more irritable after a day of isolation. Cheese subconsciously turned his body. There was a feeling of something pressing the place where his body and the floor were close to each other. Cheese subconsciously took out something from his trouser pocket. This is an admission ticket. Nini gave it to him. Be there or be square, 07:33 p.m. In less than half an hour, the program would officially start. Even in the lounge, one could feel the shock of 60 or 70,000 people. Through the door, Hongguan listened quietly for a long time. He kept taking deep breaths, hoping to adjust his nervous mood. Just before this, he had ended the video call with his wife. The encouraging words were still in his ears, but it was easier said than done to calm down. How did Iran calm himself down at that time? Hongguan began to be absent-minded, thinking about some irrelevant things. Suddenly, the door of the lounge was knocked. Qing Yun pushed the door and came in, asking directly, "Why are you all in a daze, Lucy? Have you finished the makeup for them?" "Yes, Manager Qing, it's all done, absolutely no problem." "Look, aren't they handsome?" Qing Yun waved his hand. "I'm not interested in men." "Well, you all go out, I have something to talk with Hongguan." "Director Qing, what do you want to talk to me about?" When only Hongguan and Qing Yun were left, Hongguan asked first. Qing Yun shook his head, then opened the door. Hongguan saw Mr. Zhong, who he didn't know the identity of, but was sure to be a big benefactor. This young noble's aura of nobility was too strong, and he couldn't help but feel nervous. Zhong Luochen came in with a bag and handed it to Hongguan, smiling. "Iran asked me to give this to you." "This guitar." Hongguan opened it, and couldn't help being stunned. He looked at Zhong Luochen confusedly. "Why give it to me? I think he means something." Zhong Luochen smiled. "But I don't know, I just did what he asked." "Maybe you will know." Hongguan held the guitar a little harder, and after a moment of silence he said, "But he didn't come?" "Oh, he'll come," Zhong Luochen said softly. "The driver went to pick him up, he should be able to catch up. He will watch you from the audience. Come on, I'm looking forward to your performance." Hongguan said, "Mr. Zhong, if Iran comes, can I have a word with him before the performance?" Zhong Luochen said indifferently, "Of course, if he is willing, why should I stop him?" Chapter 5:18. 7:37 p.m. The gymnasium was about 1 kilometer away. That was to say, his home was nearby. Cheese frowned, carefully opened a manhole cover and climbed out. Should he go home and take a look? Maybe Iron Whistle was waiting for him in the open space? What am I doing? But he shook his head with a wry smile. It was inappropriate to sneak out of the pet hospital, and it was even more inappropriate to contact Iron Whistle. Iron Whistle not only killed one of Mr. Turtle's men, but also wanted to kill Xiao Jiang. If not for Zhuifeng, Xiao Jiang would have been. Cheese couldn't help thinking that if Xiao Jiang knew he still went to find Iron Whistle, would she hate him? Cheese took a deep breath, grasping the admission ticket in his hand, and finally walked towards the gymnasium. I'm so stupid. Why didn't I call Nini's home to ask if she went out? He was afraid of something. He was afraid that if Nini had something to do, he couldn't tell her. He was afraid that she would cancel it. He was also afraid that she would say, next time. He didn't know why he was afraid. He couldn't figure out this emotion, but he subconsciously hoped that the worst case would be when she couldn't come back. He was so cautious, so full of expectation, so contradictory and silly. His heart was beating fast. The street lights began to shine on the back of this strange little monster. How many similar backs were there in this city? Those who didn't know what love was, those who were full of ignorance and throbbing, those who wrote the story of youth? And at this moment, something was silently watching this back, Cheese's back. It was a pair of eyes that had appeared out of thin air, and the eyelids were making clicking sounds. The owner of the eyes seemed to have flashed by when he walked past the light, and then disappeared. Like a chameleon, it hid well in the gap between the night and the street lights, and approached little by little. Closer, closer. Tonight, I will eat you. I don't want to suffer anymore, and I don't want to endure this kind of hunger anymore. Cheese, let me eat you. It was just a creature that followed its instincts and hoped that it could live a better life. This way. This way. From afar, he could see the woman waving her arms enthusiastically. Renziling. Lizzie glanced at the two people who came leisurely in the night, Luoqiu and Yu Yi. Suddenly Lizzie said, however, I didn't expect Luoqiu to bring his girlfriend here. Sister Ren, how did you do it? I feel like it's super difficult. Renziling sneered and said, There's nothing I can't do. All I did was cook a meal last night and make the kitchen look like a battlefield. I even said that I would personally cook for the next week, and this kid obediently gave in. What submission? Suddenly Luoqiu's voice came. He had approached to the distance where he could hear their conversation. Ha, nothing, what's wrong? Did you hear it wrong? Renziling squinted at the spotlights of the gymnasium and whistled. Yu Yi is so beautiful tonight. Hello, Miss Ren. Miss Maid slightly nodded to Renziling with her hands in front of her, like a noble girl educated in the palace. Come on, here are your tickets. Renziling directly stuffed 2 tickets into Yu Ye's hands, and then hurriedly pushed them. It's about to start, you should go in quickly. The seats are in the 5th row of the VIP area, don't get it wrong. Just when they walked 10 meters away from the entrance, Yu Yi chuckled. Miss Ren is so enthusiastic all the time. Really? Luoqiu shook his head slightly and said indifferently, because she always thinks about some unnecessary things. But, occasionally, we have to satisfy her, otherwise, it's quite troublesome. It was very unpleasant to see the kitchen like a battlefield. If it was like this for a week, it would be even more unpleasant. Well, everyone is in the gymnasium. Sister Ren, should we work? Lizzie reminded Renziling that as the media, they still had a very important job to do tonight. Well, I'll go in after a smoke. Let's work, who told me to be poor? Renziling shrugged her shoulders. Lizzie observed Renziling's behavior with interest. Suddenly, she turned her eyes and said with a smile, But Sister Ren, have you noticed? Luoqiu and Yu Yi, I really feel. Feel what? Lizzie took a breath slightly. It's like a cloud meeting a breeze. Do you think your baby son and future daughter-in-law have sexual apathy? Go away. I'm still waiting to hold my grandson. Renziling rolled her eyes at Lizzie but also whispered, But it can't be? Speaking of which, this kid goes home every night? He never spends the night outside. Could it be? Lizzie shrugged and unwrapped a lollipop. She licked the lollipop and clicked her tongue. Lizzie, who was born with some mischievous thoughts, suddenly said, Sister Wren, I used to have a folk prescription handed down from my ancestors in my hometown. It can cure sexual apathy and guarantee a 70% success rate of giving birth to a child. Really? Renzeiling's eyes lit up. Lizzie nodded and said, but the effect is a little strong. You have to seize the opportunity to make sure that Luaccio and you are alone. Otherwise, if you get involved, I won't be responsible. Lizzie looked at Renzeiling with a smile. F***ck. You dirty Lizzie. Renzeiling knocked on the back of Lizzie's head and groaned. There will be plenty of opportunities. You should prepare the prescription for me first. Okay, leave it to me. Lizzie smiled and agreed, but I'm afraid you can't find all the materials here. I'm afraid there's none here. How about this? I'll ask my friends in my hometown to prepare the finished products and send them here. Suddenly, a light shone, and they saw a Passat slowly driving towards Renzeiling and Lizzie. The headlights were a little dazzling, and they could barely see a figure getting off the car. Old Ma, why are you here? Didn't you say that you won't come back to carry bricks? Renzeiling saw the person clearly. The person who got off the car was Sir Ma. Mahoud rolled his eyes at Renzeiling and ignored her. He walked to the other side of the car and took a little girl out. Wow, what a cute little girl. Renzeiling glanced at her and couldn't help but praise. Old Ma, when did your family have such good genes? Which family is she from? This is Longer. Mahoud rolled his eyes and said, the child who ran away said her grandmother was waiting for her here. I was going to see a Chinese medicine doctor after work, so I brought her here. Speaking of which, I haven't settled the score with you for bumping into my neck. Haven't you recovered? Renzeiling also rolled her eyes, then squatted down and patted the little girl's head. You're Longer? You're so cute. Tell me, how old are you? Don't, this child doesn't like people touching her head. She'll be angry and hit people. Mahoud quickly reminded. Something was wrong? Long-Air looked at Renzeiling and patted her head. She couldn't be more obedient. She didn't move at all. How come she didn't yell at Renzeiling? You're ugly, so you don't want to be touched? Renzeiling laughed at Mahoud, then directly hugged Longer and said arrogantly, Look, you're so obedient. It must be because you look like a weird uncle. Sir Ma burst into tears. I also want to hug her. Damn it. How could I meet this woman? Kelowna's Shinryu's body was stiff, because she knew better than anyone that this woman's existence was abnormal. Longer even touched her own cheek subconsciously. It seemed that there was a dull pain here? Chapter 519. No, I have to think of a way to get away from these 3 people. No, 2 people and a monster? Although the Shinryu's power was sealed and she looked like an ordinary little girl, Long Shirua still had her eyesight. Especially at such a close distance, she could still feel the well-hidden monster power. What's the origin of this little monster who looks like a girl eating a lollipop? Lizzie didn't know that her identity had been exposed. At this time, seeing the little girl looking at her without blinking, she thought that Long-Er was hungry for her lollipop. So, she subconsciously took out a long lollipop from the small bag hanging on her waist. I only have this left. Hey, do you want to eat? Who wants to eat this? I want to. Long-Air opened her mouth, but she couldn't say what she wanted to say. Kelowna's Shinryu even blushed. Renzeiling's mind suddenly lit up. He held Long-Air's hands and said, Long-Air, do you want to pee? If she used the excuse of going to the washroom, it would be a good chance to escape. But she had to admit in front of these 2 people and a monster, yes, I want to pee. Who can do that? I'm the famous Kelowna's Shinryu. Long-Air, what's wrong with you? Your face is red. Do you feel uncomfortable? Renzeiling touched the little girl's forehead and said worriedly, It's a little hot. Do you have a cold? Should we send you to the hospital? No, don't. Long Shiro, Longair said in a low voice. I want to go, what are you thinking? The little girl's voice was so low that Renziling had no choice but to stick close to the other party's face. Washroom. What? You really need to pee. Renziling smiled and said, Look at you, your face is red. I was too embarrassed to tell this fat uncle in the car, right? That's right. This fat uncle is not a good person. Renziling, what enmity do you have with me? What do you mean by I'm not a good person? Sir Ma was instantly displeased. You're a good person. Do you want to carry her to the bathroom? Renziling rolled her eyes again. Ma Howd was speechless. Renziling hugged the little girl and said, Come, I'll take you to the bathroom. Sister Ren, is it going to start soon? Lizzie suddenly said. Renziling shrugged and said, You go in first. Anyway, you just need to take some pictures backstage. I'll be there in a while. Lizzie nodded and agreed. Then, she walked into the gymnasium through another passage. Renziling hugged the little girl and walked away hurriedly. What should I do? Looking around, Sir Ma felt the cold wind blowing and suddenly thought of such a question. He looked around and suddenly thought of Renziling's words yesterday, There are so many fireworks here. Did anyone call the fire department? What if it gets burned? It's strange. I didn't see the fire department's car. Sir Ma frowned and picked up the phone. Hello, this is Ma Howd from the Criminal Police Brigade. Is your captain there? Okay, I'll wait. Oh, Lao He, it's me, Ma Howd. Nothing, I just want to ask you something. Hasn't the gymnasium sent anyone here today? Oh yes, I'm just passing by, so I'm asking. Has the car been out for a long time? But I haven't seen anyone. You can check it out, I'll wait for your news. Oh no hurry, I have nothing to do anyway. Wow, has anyone cleaned this place before? Renziling held Longer's hand and frowned in the washroom. Of course, in front of so many people tonight, it was inevitable that the washroom was so grand. It was probably the same for others. Finally, Renziling found a relatively clean grid. She pushed the door open and said, Well, I'll take this one. It looks okay. Longer walked in stiffly. After a while, she turned around and said, You. Sister, I'll close the door. Oh. Renziling smiled. Can't you pee? It's okay, you can close the door. I'll wait for you by the wash basin and wash my face. After closing the door, Longer breathed a sigh of relief. The next problem was how to leave this woman's sight. This little girl's body was really inconvenient. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Longer was startled. Renziling said, Longer, have you peed? Not yet, it's okay, Renziling said at this time. I remember that there is no tissue inside. Come on, take it out and use it. Through the crack on the floor of the door, Renziling put in a pack of tissues and said, Girls need to remember to take good care of their bodies. You need to be clean and keep your little sister's hygiene, okay? I know! If this is a nightmare, please go away as soon as possible. Kelowna's Shinryu couldn't help covering her eyes in pain. Renziling giggled at this time and walked away quickly. This little girl's face is so tender, but she is really cute. If Luochio and Yu Yi can have such a cute girl in the future. Subeditor Ren started to imagine a scene in her mind. She stood in front of the wash basin mirror and giggled. Renziling shook her head abruptly and turned on the tap. It was too far to think about that. She had better think about how to make the two guys happy. No, she had to work first. Renziling began to wash her face. Longer, are you ready? Longer? But when Renziling finished washing her face, she found that Longer was gone. So many people. There were so many people in the backstage passage. Lizzie wanted to squeeze in, but decided to give up. But if she couldn't get anything, she didn't know how to report to her superiors. She didn't have Renziling's ability to carve a bloody path out of these thousands of soldiers and horses. But she was a monster, so she had the ability of a monster. Lizzie looked around and found that no one was paying attention to her. She put her body close to the window of the corridor and jumped out of the window quickly. She quickly placed her palm on the wall. Cold air suddenly emerged and condensed into a 30-centimeter long petal on the outer wall. Lizzie squinted her eyes and smiled, blowing to the front. On the outer wall, many petals of the same size appeared, extending all the way to the other side. This should be the real backstage, the recording studio area where the singers and the like rested. Lizzie jumped on the ice petal easily. It would melt by itself later, so she didn't need to take it back. But at this moment, a black shadow flashed from not far away, climbing up the wall and fell into Lizzie's sight. A monster? It's so small. Cheese easily climbed up the wall that he had climbed many times before. Finally, he climbed into one of the utility rooms in the gymnasium through a window. Nini said that she would wait at the usual place. For the former members of the juvenile group, there was only one usual place in the stadium. But after Cheese jumped in, he found that there was no light and it was dark. Haven't they arrived yet? Cheese shook his head, turning to look out of the window. Suddenly, he became absent-minded. He subconsciously thought about Nini's matter and didn't think about other things. When Nini came, Cheese wanted to talk to her about something. He wanted to talk to someone of the same age. Suddenly, light footsteps came. Cheese turned around and saw a small figure slowly walking out of the darkness with the help of the dim light outside the window. Cheese could see clearly little by little. Suddenly, his heart beat faster. It was Nini. Under the dim light, he had never felt that Nini had such a cute side to her. No. Nini didn't seem to be any different from usual, but for some reason, he felt that his face and ears were a little red at this moment. Cheese. Nini called Cheese softly, "You're here?" Nini. Cheese took a deep breath, nodding. "I've just arrived." "Nini, what are you doing?" Nini didn't say anything, but directly threw herself on Cheese. She sniffed Cheese's cheek, saying in a sweet voice, "Cheese, I miss you so much." "Nini, don't do this." Cheese only felt that his mouth and tongue were dry. He took a deep breath, pressing Nini's shoulders with his hands. "Nini, I have something to tell you. Can you listen to me? It's about Juefeng." "Cheese, I like you so much," Nini said suddenly. Cheese was stunned. His brain was almost blank, and he had difficulty breathing. He saw Nini closing her eyes, and her lips were getting closer to him little by little. Closer. Closer. Cheese's breath accelerated, and he could even hear his own heartbeat. He called Nini's name softly in his heart. The throbbing of youth made him look forward to what would happen next. He closed his eyes as well, imagining what kind of taste this kind of beautiful action would taste like. Poochie. At this moment, Cheese suddenly opened his eyes, only feeling a kind of heart-piercing pain crazily spreading from his body to his arm. He slightly opened his mouth, and his mind was in a mess. He couldn't believe what he saw. Nini was still Nini, but the smile on her face made him feel extremely strange. She was also holding a knife in her hand, a knife that was stained with blood. It had pierced Cheese's arm and then was pulled out. "Nini. You." Cheese's mind went blank again. He leaned against the windowsill and covered his wound with his palm. "Because I hate you." Nini narrowed her eyes and laughed. "You don't really think that I like you, do you? I'm a cat, and you're just a smelly rat. Don't tell me you're really delusional enough to think that I'll be with you? Are you stupid?" Chapter 520. Drip. Blood dripped from his arm onto the cold floor. Cheese looked at Nini and the bloody knife in her hand. He suddenly took a deep breath. "Juefeng? Come out. I know you're here. Am I right? You're here." Cheese roared towards the gloomy storeroom. "Pa!" The light in the room was turned on. Cheese looked around subconsciously. He saw a familiar face on a wooden box, but it was strange. This reminded Cheese of the days when he met Juefeng. Juefeng was lying in the muddy water with wounds all over his body. Different wounds were caused by different attacks. He seemed to have been beaten by more than one person. How could that be described as a look of despair? and now it was a kind of crazed look in his eyes. How could it be described? Cheese didn't know. Only the blood on his arm and the blood dripping on the floor were scattering. He didn't know if the friendship between him and Juefeng was also dispersing. Cheese tasted another kind of bitterness after receiving the news of Shu Yu's death. He said bitterly, "Juefeng, how much do you hate me?" Juefeng sneered, jumping down from the wooden box. He waved his hand. Nini obediently walked to Juefeng's side, lowering her head like a servant. "I hate you." Juefeng shook his head. "I don't really hate you. I just don't like you, so I want you to know how it feels to be betrayed by your most trusted person. Oh, I don't know why, but I'm in a good mood now." Cheese shook his head. "Is it interesting? You know, if Nini wasn't controlled, she wouldn't do such things. Look at her now, is she still Nini?" Juefeng's face darkened. Then he sneered again. "Oh? From what you said, it seems that if Nini was normal, she wouldn't hurt you, right? Cheese, have you forgotten the fact that you're a mouse and she's a cat? You two are born enemies. Are you sure? Nini didn't mean what she said just now?" Juefeng's eyes flashed red. He sneered. "Are you sure? Can you believe her unconditionally? I don't think so." Cheese glanced at Nini subconsciously. His lips moved slightly, but he stopped abruptly. I believe. I should believe. Why, I couldn't say it. Ha 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 ha. Juefeng suddenly, look at your hypocritical look. You'd better take a good look yourself. You hesitated. You don't believe me. It's not like that. Cheese avoided Juefeng's eyes, lowering his head. It's you. You're the one who influenced me, it's you. That's right. Wind-chasing wolf said indifferently. That's right. You see, you put the blame on me. That's right. Right? It's just because of me. If it wasn't for me, none of this would happen, right? If it wasn't for me, Nini wouldn't hurt you, right? Don't be ashamed of your hesitation, because it's all my fault. Cheese. That's right. After blaming me, you're still you. That brave, strong, and nice guy. That's right. You. What do you want to do? Cheese raised his head, clenching his fist. Juefeng suddenly said, Do you remember our competition half a year ago? I say, Cheese, do you want to have another round? What? Come with me, it's not good to compete in this place. Juefeng smiled. I have a good place. The flourishing Lotus Gymnasium was one of the landmarks of the city. On the one hand, it was built by the government with great efforts. On the other hand, it was high. Very high, of course. This kind of height was mostly due to the so-called artistic structure that was useless but looked good, a ring, randomly undulating roof of the gymnasium. However, it was undeniable that the view in this place was extremely wide. If the seats at the back of the audience seats were called the peak seats, then the seats above the roof could only be described as the peak seats. For ordinary people, no matter how wide the view was, it was useless. But for the club boss with all kinds of magical powers, this position was the VIP seat, right? Under the night wind, Luochio, who was accompanied by Miss Servant Girl, calmly looked down. There was a magnificent structure built below, the surroundings of the stadium below, the people below, and the monsters below. Looking at the shadow climbing on the wall, looking at the audience who began to cheer, and looking at the first singer to appear on the stage, Yi Zichen was stunned. Behind the front desk. Oh, and that Kelowna Shinryu, who was running with small steps and panting. Yu Yi, why do people gather together? Luochio turned back to Yu Yi, asking softly. Luochio had asked this question once, but it was in his heart at that time. But now, he asked it out loud. Is it because of fate? Yu Yi answered softly. Luochio smiled. Is this your answer? Why do you say not sure? Miss Servant Girl frowned. Yu Yi doesn't know, master, please tell me. Luochio shook his head. It's good that it's your answer, because it's your understanding. As for me, I want to find the answer by myself. Yu Yi nodded slightly. The night wind messed up her hair, so she smoothed it to the back, and then looked at a direction outside the gymnasium, suddenly saying, "This Tae-Yinzi, it seems that he didn't clean well. Didn't you already know?" Luoqiu smiled. "That's why I let him clean for a living. Well, I bought this singer's album before. This time he learned his lesson and put Hong Guan at the end. If you don't mind, let's listen." Luoqiu began to listen with interest. This was the second singer after the first one stepped down. It was amazing. It was really amazing. Where did this old man with the afro find a Harley Davidson? Feeling the roar of the motorcycle when running, Cheng Yiran even had a feeling. Did this old man with an afro hide the Harley under the bridge early? Otherwise, he would have directly lifted the red, white and blue plastic cover and then said, "Get on, there's no time to explain." What the hell was that, at this time? The Harley motorcycle suddenly turned sideways, and then swung a half-circle, gliding for more than 10 meters before stopping. It could be imagined how fast it was. Cheng Yiran jumped off the bike in fear. He was already soaking wet, and now his clothes were half-dried by the wind brought about by his haste to move forward. His body was a little cold, and Cheng Yiran's face couldn't help turning pale. This old man with an afro seemed to be fine. 7 minutes. Tut-tut, old man's skill seems to be good, ha-ha. The old man with an afro boasted and laughed twice, then looked at Cheng Yiran and said, "Kid, we're here, why don't you go in?" Cheng Yiran was surprised. "Old man, how did you know I was going in? Otherwise, why are you here? To drink northwest wind?" The old man with an afro rolled his eyes and said, "Don't dawdle, do what you want to do. I think you look good now, at least you look more like a human." Cheng Yiran shook his head and smiled bitterly. He took a breath and said, "Old man, I still don't know your name." "Me?" The old man with an afro pondered for a while and suddenly said, "My name is John Lennon." "Lennon? Tai-een." "What? John Lennon. Tai-een." The old man with an afro hummed, "Did you hear me clearly? John?" Cheng Yiran had heard of Lennon before, but what the hell was Tai-een at the end? This old man was really like him, full of personality and eccentric. Cheng Yiran smiled and said, "I'll call you old man." "Old man, thank you, I'm serious." "Okay, don't be long-winded." The old man with an afro started the Harley's engine. Cheng Yiran saw this and quickly nodded to the old man with an afro. He took a deep breath, turned around and ran towards the entrance. "Wait!" Unexpectedly, the old man behind him suddenly yelled out. Cheng Yiran was stunned and turned around. He saw the old man with an afro suddenly bent down and picked up a rectangular box from the side of the Harley. This box had been on the motorcycle all along. Cheng Yiran was very curious why such an ugly thing was on such a flashy motorcycle. But this strange old man's temperament was very strange, so he didn't ask. But this old man swung his hand and threw the box to Cheng Yiran. "What a strong hand! I'll lend this to you. Remember to return it to me after you use it. I'll come to you." Boom! The box was thrown in front of Cheng Yiran, and the old man had already driven the motorcycle to the west in a carefree manner. Cheng Yiran subconsciously squatted down and opened the box. He saw a bess lying in the box with some paint peeling off. "Old man, you didn't throw it away." Cheng Yiran picked up the bess with a grateful smile on his face. But he couldn't see the tail light of the Harley anymore. Ma Howd couldn't help but frown. The fire engine that left the squadron had a GPS system. He waited for the reply from the squadron, but found that the fire engine stopped 1 kilometer away from the stadium, and the firefighters on duty didn't respond. So Sir Ma drove directly to the stadium, and easily saw the fire engine parked on the roadside. But when he got closer, he found that all the firefighters on the vehicle were lying motionless, as if they had fainted. "What the hell?" At this time, Ren Xilin's words rang in Sir Ma's ears again. "There are so many people, what if it explodes? Have you called the firefighters?" Chapter 521. In the ring-shaped auditorium, there was a neat wave of people, This singer really knew how to control the atmosphere of the scene. Of course, being able to do this was also related to his dozens of large-scale concerts experience. This should be able to arouse the emotions of all the audience, but it seemed that some people didn't. Instead, they showed a bitter expression. The girl noticed his appearance at this time. Since she woke up from the hospital, she only had this man in her eyes. Although fat, clumsy, and sometimes timid, there were also times when she was very brave. "What's wrong, Juga? Are you not feeling well?" the girl asked softly. "I think I may have eaten too much or something wrong." Juga covered his stomach, sweating. "My stomach hurts. What should we do? Shall we go?" The girl was looking forward to this performance, but only for this man. But Juga hurriedly stood up at this time. "No need, no need. You have been looking forward to it for a long time. I should be fine after going to the toilet. You wait for me here. I'll be back soon." With that, Juga squeezed out from the row of seats, but if he was not there, no matter how much the girl looked forward to it, she didn't seem to be as excited as before. "Toilet, toilet, where is the toilet?" Juga held his stomach, running in the corridor of the gymnasium awkwardly. He felt that the power in his body was about to burst out. "That, little brother, where is the toilet?" Juga had reached the point where he would catch anyone as if he caught a life-saving grass. So the god of luck didn't abandon him. He really caught someone. The kid looked young, probably a high school student. He was a little small, but his eyes were very bright. "Over there." The high school student enthusiastically pointed to the direction. "Turn right in front, go straight, then turn left and you will see it." "Thank you." Juga was very grateful, running quickly in that direction. Looking at the fat brother who was about to die, the high school student scratched his head, muttering, "This big brother can probably hold on?" The high school student shook his head. At this moment, his phone suddenly rang. The high school student smiled and looked at the window next to the corridor. While looking at the scenery outside, he said into the phone, "Hello, class monitor, what's the matter?" "Emo Xiaofei, how's the situation over there?" The class leader, the girl on the other side of the phone, asked softly. The high school student smiled and said, "I'm fine, but I don't know if I'll be fine after this. I have a feeling that the situation won't be too good. There are too many people." The class leader said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Emo Xiaofei. If it weren't for the lack of manpower, I wouldn't have dragged you here. I know you usually take care of your father." The high school student quickly said, "Actually, it's nothing. I told my dad that I would be a volunteer here. After the concert, I would help clean up the garbage here. He was quite happy. No matter what, I will definitely thank you later. I have to go now. I have to ask the other students about the situation." The class leader quickly hung up the phone. High school student Emo Xiaofei looked at the closed communication interface with a sense of loss. He always wanted to say something more to this girl. He looked out of the window and muttered to himself, "What's there to thank me for? This is what I should do. After all, I'm still atoning for my sins." Emo Xiaofei shook his head, took a deep breath, and patted his face to cheer himself up. But when he was about to look away from the window, his eyes stopped somewhere. It was a figure running in a hurry. "This is Officer Ma?" Emo Xiaofei frowned. He hadn't used his superpower for a long time. But when he saw this police officer, Emo Xiaofei took a deep breath, focusing his eyes slightly to improve his eyesight. Later, he found that this slight use of his superpower didn't seem to cause much burden to his body. Why is he in such a hurry? What happened? Emo Xiaofei couldn't help but frown. He decided to follow up and see. He still owed this police officer a favor. Sir Ma was indeed very anxious. He found the parked fire truck, and the firefighters on the truck were all in a coma. Was he in a hurry? He directly went to the fire brigade and tried to wake up these unconscious firefighters, but he couldn't wake them up. In desperation, Sir Ma could only drive the truck to the stadium. When he got off the truck, he received a call from Renziling. Old Ma. I really want to get rid of Long. What should I do? Renziling said with a trace of anxiety and helplessness. I just washed my face, but Long disappeared when I turned my head. What? Ma Howd gave a start and then hurriedly said, Why are there so many troubles? I'm so annoyed. Why are there so many troubles? Do you know what happened? Ma Howd couldn't help telling his discovery from the beginning to the end. Renziling was surprised. Damn. It seems something will happen from what you said? Damn. Renziling, you better not jinx it. Ma Howd hurriedly said, Let's not talk about it now. Please continue to look for Long. She's so young she can't go far. Maybe she's just naughty and hiding. Lin Feng should be here too. You call him to help look for her, and tell him it's my order. I'm going to the place where the fireworks are installed. It's urgent here. I hope it's just a false alarm. The two of them split up in an instant. Ma Howd looked at the direction, and then hurriedly walked in that direction. As soon as he left, a figure came out from the shadow of the tree behind him, Mo Xiaofei. Mo Xiaofei frowned deeply at this moment. He had improved his hearing ability and heard Ma Howd's words clearly. Mo Xiaofei looked at the fire truck parked next to him, blinking his eyes, as if he was thinking about something. The scene was too big. It was impossible to find anything in the current situation, especially with so many people. Long Shirua's sharp senses were no longer there, not to mention that there were too many humans gathered here. The huge and messy human aura was the best natural barrier to hide the demon aura. Why do I have a bad feeling in my heart? Long Shirua panted and held the handrail of the stairs, thinking crazily. If Xuefeng really intended to do something to the humans here, what would he do? Would he expose himself among the tens of thousands of people and then kill them? That was the worst-case scenario. After such a worst-case scenario, not to mention her current appearance, even if she hadn't become like this, she probably wouldn't have been able to suppress this matter. The modern era's information spread too fast. It was simply incomparable to the ancient times. Ah! At this moment, Long Shirua vaguely heard a scream. It seemed to be a male's voice. Long Shirua frowned, and quickly followed the direction of the sound. It was near, in a washroom not far away. Long Shirua could even smell a faint smell of blood, and the sound of cracking, and the sound of gurgling. Long Shirua began to tremble with fear. Probably because of the loss of strength, the body sent out a dangerous signal, which made Long Shirua's heartbeat inexplicably accelerated. Kelowna's Shinryu couldn't help but think that once she lost her strength, she would also have the same feeling. She took a deep breath, gently pushed open the door of the washroom, and peeped inside. And inside was a scene that shocked her to the core. Blood, the floor of the washroom, the tiles on the wall, and the respective door panels, were everywhere spattered with bright red blood. Long Shirua gasped. Inside, there was a huge monster, which was eating a human male's body bit by bit. And that gurgling sound was obviously the sound of the monster chewing on the bones. It was Iron Whistle. It was Iron Whistle who was gnawing the body here. At this moment, Iron Whistle, who was enjoying its food, suddenly turned its head. Its eyes were huge, just like the eyes of a chameleon. There were circles of spirals in the eyeballs, like a bottomless abyss. Long Shirua saw her own reflection in the abyss. Chapter 522. Hiss! All of a sudden, Iron Whistle opened his bloody mouth and spat out his tongue, which was covered in blood and mucus. Long Shirua was shocked and pulled the door tightly. However, the strength of the tongue was so strong that it pierced through the door and flew out beside Long Shirua's cheek, almost piercing her forehead. Although she lost her strength, she still had Shinryu's experience. Long Shirua leaped backward at once. If it was in the past, such a backward leap would be easy and simple. But now, while she was leaping backwards, she found it difficult to maintain her balance. What should have been a perfect backward leap had turned into a sitting position on the ground. Iron Whistle's tongue was very flexible. At this time, it extended again and entangled Long Shirua's calf like a snake. Then, it extended again and entangled her along her body. Long Shirua felt very uncomfortable because of the secretion of mucus. At the same time, Iron Whistle broke the door and its body almost squeezed against the door frame. But its body suddenly shrank and passed through the door frame easily. The tongue began to shrink and dragged Long Shirua bit by bit. What awaited the Shinryu of Kelowna was its bloody mouth full of sharp teeth. The great Shinryu of Kelowna was going to die in the mouth of this guy? Long Shirua's brain almost stopped working. This was probably something that she had never thought of in all her years of life. Seeing her body getting closer and closer, Long Shirua struggled desperately. Damn it! Should I give in this situation? Should I call that place, that shopkeeper? Long Shirua sighed in her heart. Time is of the essence. She really felt the feelings of those who were willing to trade their precious things. We will really encounter the moment of despair and helplessness. No matter how hard we try, we can't get over it. Long Shirua's body suddenly relaxed. When the thought of giving in arose in her heart, she gently closed her eyes. Come on. I Long Shirua want to, Lord Long. Suddenly, a shout woke Long Shirua up. Her body even loosened as the tongue that was wrapped around her was cut off. At the same time, Iron Whistle made a painful sound because of its broken tongue. Chichi Kamaya. Chichi Kamaya, who was carrying a turtle shell on his back, didn't close his eyes, but showed a pair of lightning-like eyes. He even had a sharp sword in his hand. A sharp sword on the tip of a cane. After cutting off Iron Whistle's tongue, Chichi Kamaya didn't stop. He didn't say anything, he waved his withered arm and chopped Iron Whistle again. This slash directly cut off one of Iron Whistle's front limbs. Iron Whistle made another painful sound, and its body turned into a pool of liquid at the same time. But Chichi Kamaya snorted, Humph, do you want to use the same trick again? Chichi Kamaya drew a circle in the air with his sword, and a large amount of mist burst out from the circle. When the mist met the air, it turned into frost and directly froze everything in front of it into ice crystals, including Iron Whistle, who had turned into liquid and was about to escape. Looking at the completely frozen Iron Whistle, Chichi Kamaya sighed softly and put his sword back into the sheath. It turned into a cane again. Lord Long, are you hurt? Chichi Kamaya hurriedly helped Long Shirua up. I'm fine. Long Shirua shook her head and glanced at the frozen Iron Whistle. She couldn't help but frown. Chichi Kamaya, how did you find this place? Chichi Kamaya said seriously. It's a long story. When I was cooking noodles today, Long Shirua said fiercely, make it short. Chichi Kamaya hurriedly said, Zhuefeng sent a letter. I was afraid that it was a trap, so I pretended to leave and stayed to observe. As expected. Chichi Kamaya didn't go far after getting on Ghost Baby's car. He got off the car. While he had Ghost Child lead his subordinates to the designated location, he sneaked back to observe the situation. After lurking for a while, I found something. Chichi Kamaya shook his head. Zhuefeng is too cunning. Those monsters are still under his control. They just look normal. I'm so incompetent. I really can't figure out what kind of means it is. Please forgive me, Lord Long. Long Shirua shook her head. Let's not talk about this. What happened later? Chichi Kamaya said. Those monsters suddenly went crazy. They not only captured all my men, but also Xu Xiaoshu's family and Xiao Jiang. This may be a good opportunity to find Zhuefeng, so I have been biding my time and following him here. But not long after I arrived, I smelled the smell of blood. Fortunately, this old man was vigilant enough to rush here. Otherwise, I'm afraid this time, Master Long. Thank you. Long Shirua shook her head. She was really grateful this time. If it weren't for Chichi Kamaya, she would have bowed down in front of the shop owner. Long Shirua sighed at this time, but said helplessly, It's good that you saved me, but I'm afraid you lost track of those guys. Don't worry, Lord. I've already cast a tracking spell on one of the monsters. I know where they are now. Chichi-Kamaya squinted at this time. Well, they stopped at... Chichi-Kamaya suddenly opened his eyes. Here? Zhuefeng captured Xu Xiaoshu's family and Xiao Jiang. Why? Long Shirua bit her nails subconsciously, looking at the ice in front of her casually, and suddenly said, Where's Ghost Baby? I let him continue to go to the destination. Chichi-Kamaya said seriously, I don't know how many innocent people Zhuefeng has controlled. Will he set an ambush there? If we don't fall, will we irritate him? I don't know what Zhuefeng wants to do. You've handled it well. Long Shirua shook her head. If it were me, I might not be better than you. This iron whistle has killed so many creatures. Let's kill it. That's good. A long delay may cause trouble. Chichi-Kamaya nodded, and gently touched the ice with his crutch. The ice crystal shattered in an instant, turning into a large amount of ice. This demon clan elder was also a decisive and merciless person back in the day. Xiang Lu said that only by destroying its most original cells can it be killed. Chichi-Kamaya carefully searched the ice cubes, which seemed to be the core cells. Found it! Chichi-Kamaya snorted, and was about to touch it with his crutch. Unexpectedly, the half of the tongue that was cut off suddenly opened at this moment, and a thin needle as thin as a cow's hair shot directly to Chichi-Kamaya's ankle. What a cunning beast! Chichi-Kamaya was stabbed, and at this moment, he was furious, but the forelimb that was cut off by him suddenly turned into a pool of liquid, directly covering Chichi-Kamaya's body. But for Chichi-Kamaya, this was only a hindrance. The old turtle snorted, and the liquid covering him instantly turned into ice. He shook his body and fell down. But Chichi-Kamaya's face suddenly turned black, and he directly knelt on the ground. Oh no, this needle is poisonous! Chichi-Kamaya, this poison can't kill me. Chichi-Kamaya took a deep breath, and gathered all his monster power, only to see that the place where the needle was on his ankle began to emit thick black liquid little by little. But the ice crystal had been broken, and the liquid began to break out little by little, and quickly gathered together. But not much of the ice crystal was broken out, and when it gathered together, its volume was much smaller than before. The liquid in front of him began to expand, and slowly turned into a figure. Long Shirua took a deep breath. Prometheus, those guys in the West, actually created a monster with such tenacious vitality. But at this moment, it had a voice. It was the kind of voice that could speak. Its form gradually became clearer, and so did its voice. Previously, there was a voice that asked me, if there was someone stronger than me who wanted to kill me, what would I do? At that time, I said that it was normal, the weak would die. I died because I was weak. It became clearer, and Long Shirua's eyes were filled with shock at the same time. But just now, when I was about to die, it finally took shape. Why did you want to kill me? It had taken shape, and it was roaring. Shuyu? But it was accompanied by the exclamation of Kelowna Shinryu. Chapter 523. In front of him, it was only about 1.6 meters tall. Even in the eyes of humans, it looked short. But it was this short face that overlapped with the face that was always greedy for small gains, and was always looking at the customers in the pet center with a lustful look. But Long Shirua clearly knew that this was not the real Shuyu. You are not Shuyu. Long Shirua took a deep breath and stood up. You are not. The Shuyu I know would never do such a thing as killing a living being. Why should we kill you? Why don't you ask yourself how many monsters and humans you have killed? If I don't kill you, how can I face those monsters and their families who died tragically in your mouth? Its eyes were much bigger and its mouth even more cracked. Its eyes were tightly locked on Long Shirua, and its voice was cold. What about you? Aren't you the same? Aren't those things that you eat the same? Humans eat animals, you monsters eat all kinds of creatures. What about you? Why can you? I can't. Tell me. You want to live, this is your wish. I want to kill you, this is also my wish. At this time, Chichi-Kamiya staggered to stand up and said in a low voice, You want me to answer you, I can only answer you because of selfishness. Although it staggered, Chichi-Kamiya's movement was not slow. It instantly pulled out its sword, and cold light shone in all directions. It was frightened and stepped back 2 steps, very afraid of the sword in Chichi-Kamiya's hand. Selfish, selfish, selfish. I don't want to die. Its body turned into liquid again, and instantly left the toilet canal. Chichi-Kamiya did not move and just watched it leave. Until it completely left, it spat out a mouthful of black blood and fell to the ground. Turned out that it was just pretending. Chichi-Kamiya, don't scare me. Chichi-Kamiya smiled bitterly and said, This old man is useless, to be entangled by such a small poison and become so weak. Long Shirua sighed and said, The secret technique you used last time backfired on you, and you haven't recovered from that level of injury. This poison is probably the same as the one that killed Spider-Man. You're already heavily injured, and you still need to suppress the poison. It's already good enough that you can speak. Chichi-Kamiya, he's getting old. Long Shirua couldn't help but feel sad. How many years had it been? How many years has he been alive? However, even though he was still alive, he was no longer the Turtle Prime Minister who was in his prime and could caress her head and call her little princess. Chichi-Kamiya's eyes gradually became cloudy, and he said softly, Little princess, after so many years, this old man finally sees you like this again. Little princess, it's been hard on you all these years. Don't say anything, Chichi-Kamiya. Long Shirua's eyes were red. Chichi-Kamiya said weakly, It's the Xian Yuan family who let you down. Little princess, this old man is the one who let you down when you were still so young. This old man personally sent you to Shinryu to accept the inheritance. You're still young, but we had no choice but to let you shoulder this responsibility. Little princess, do you blame me? I'm sorry. I hope that one day you'll be able to take this heavy responsibility. Chichi-Kamiya, I order you, don't say anything else. Stand up. Stand up. In the name of Kelowna Shinryu, I order you. Stand up. Little princess. Little princess. Chichi-Kamiya's eyes became cloudy. Little princess, you're late again today. Is there going to be a punishment? Little princess, yesterday I asked you to memorize the medicine manual. Have you finished memorizing it? Did you sneak out again to? He stopped abruptly and slowly closed his eyes. Chichi-Kamiya, Chichi-Kamiya, Grandpa Tortoise. Long Shirua screamed madly and hugged Chichi-Kamiya's body. A heart-wrenching pain spread through her body. After losing Shinryu's power, she was no longer able to look at everything with a detached heart. It was as though she was reliving the first half of her life. In such a short period of time, she had experienced so much helplessness, her mind was no longer as firm as a rock, and her heart was no longer as cold as ice. Long Air's eyes were filled with tears as she bawled, Grandpa Tortoise! Right now, she was only Long Air. I don't want you to die. Grandpa Tortoise! Long Air doesn't want you to die. Grandpa Tortoise, Grandpa Tortoise! Long Air leaned on Chichi-Kamiya's chest and pounded on Chichi-Kamiya's chest with all her strength. Get up! Get up! Get up! Grandpa Tortoise! She was still leaning on Chichi-Kamiya's chest and pounded on it with her small fists. She pounded weakly. Grandpa Tortoise, Grandpa Tortoise, Grandpa Tortoise, Grandpa Tortoise, I will never let you die. All of a sudden, Dragoni clenched her fists tightly. Raising her head, she mustered all the strength in her body and screamed at the top of her lungs, Come out! Come out! Come out! I know you're here. Come out! You've won! Come out! You've won! Come out! But there was no one around. No matter how she shouted, no one came out. Long Air's face was pale, and she lowered her head in despair. Come out. You've won. Why don't you come out? Come out. The sound of footsteps, two different kinds of footsteps, sounded in front of Long Er at this time. She raised her head subconsciously and saw the club's boss and Miss Maid standing in front of her. Miss Long, you're looking for me? Luocio nodded slightly and said softly, Excuse me, is there anything I can help you with? Long Air wiped the tears on her face and gritted her teeth. You've won. Don't ask when you already know the answer. Chichi Kamaya. I don't want anything else. As long as you can save him. As you wish. Boss Luo smiled. Long Air looked at the young man in front of her in disbelief and said in astonishment, You agree? Since it's the guest's request, why shouldn't I agree? Luocio asked strangely, I've said that we won't refuse the guest's request. But, Long Air looked at him in disbelief. Her lips moved slightly, but she suddenly smiled bitterly and said sadly, I thought you would humiliate me at least once. I was even prepared to be humiliated by you, but why? Luocio said indifferently, Why do you think I'll humiliate you? Long Air turned her head and said with difficulty, After all, at the beginning, I wanted to destroy you. I don't believe you. You won't bear grudges. Bear grudges? Luocio shook his head and said, This kind of thing is too boring. Besides, Miss Long didn't hurt me. Instead, it's you who suffered, isn't it? Long Air opened her mouth. She still couldn't understand the boss in front of her. But when she saw his eyes, she stopped what she wanted to say. He really didn't want to humiliate her, not to mention there was hatred or teasing in his eyes. Why did he exist? Long Air shook her head and looked at Luocio. What's the price? Luocio thought for a while and suddenly said, That depends on Miss Long. To what extent do you want to save Mr. Gue? Long Air took a deep breath and said, I only want him to live, no matter what the price is. Unexpectedly, Boss Luo shook his head and said, Miss Long, I'm afraid we can't sell you this deal. Long Air was stunned and said angrily, You really want to humiliate me? You said it so nicely, but in the end, why can't you sell it to me? Could it be that my true dragon soul, the price is still not enough? The soul of Shinryu is indeed a priceless treasure. If there is a chance, we naturally want to buy it. Luocio shook his head and said, But this Mr. Gue didn't die. Since he didn't die, Miss Long's request is not valid? What? Long Air was stunned again. You mean, Chichi Kamaya, he is still alive? Boss Luo chuckled. Of course, as a Shinryu, Miss Long. Haven't you heard of turtle breath? This Mr. Gue just temporarily stopped all his functions and wholeheartedly expelled the poison from his body. Although the poison is very strong, it can't kill this Mr. Gue. Long Shirua stared blankly at Chichi Kamaya, who was lying on the ground. She suddenly shivered and stepped on Chichi Kamaya's head and shouted, Chichi Kamaya? Don't you ever wake up? You inferior servant, you dare to let me. Kelowna's Shinryu sobbed. Let me be so worried. Chapter 524. For Long Shirua, Chichi Kamaya's temporary death was the only good news she had heard these days. But, this is embarrassing. I've called the shopkeeper over. Thinking of the words she had said less than a minute ago and the expression she showed, Kelowna Shinryu began to doubt her dragon life. Isn't this guy talkative? Why is he suddenly silent? I'm most afraid of silence. Long Shirua didn't want to speak first. Since Chichi Kamaya is not dead, you can leave. If she dared to say such words, Long Shirua didn't feel that the shopkeeper would do anything. It was a strange feeling, but her intuition was right. The shopkeeper might be fine, but the maid next to him might not be. Miss Long, do you want to buy anything else from this shop? At this time, Luo Chio suddenly said, If not, this conversation will end here, okay? Long Shirua was stunned. So, it's okay if I don't buy anything? Of course, Luocio said indifferently, this shop has always been free to buy and sell. If the customer wants to buy, we sell. If the customer doesn't want to buy, we won't force them. Because it's me? Long Shirua suddenly frowned. No, it's the same for everyone. Luocio gave an affirmative answer. Long Shirua suddenly smiled bitterly. I didn't expect. I always thought that you would only tempt creatures, and would do anything to complete the transaction. Luocio suddenly said, Miss Long, if there's nothing else, please allow me to leave. What kind of person is this? Long Shirua subconsciously said, Wait. Is there anything else? Luocio turned around. Long Shirua gritted her teeth and said, How much do you want to give if you expel all the poison in Chichikamaya's body and wake him up immediately? Kelowna Shinryu's expression was somewhat complicated. She kept telling herself that this was just to wake Chichikamaya up, not because of some strange feeling of guilt. Luocio said, Miss Long, do you have any treasures on you now? No. Long Shirua shook her head. Although she was Kelowna Shinryu, in fact, she could be called the poorest monster in Kelowna. Luocio nodded. In that case, please give me a drop of blood, Miss Long. Just a drop of blood? Long Shirua couldn't help but be surprised. This price was too small for her, so small that she thought she had met a fake boss. It's just a simple detoxification, Luocio said indifferently. Even if we don't help, Mr. Turtle will wake up in 2 or 3 days. Long Shirua suddenly remembered the conversation she had with the shop owner before. She understood something and smiled bitterly again. I understand. This is the time you said will be consumed, right? In order to stop the consumption of time, we have to pay something else. That's it, please expel the poison in Chichikamaya's body. Luocio didn't say anything more and stepped forward to Chichikamaya. He squatted down, stretched out his finger and gently touched Chichikamaya's chest, and then slowly raised his finger. A pool of black liquid was quickly pulled out from Chichikamaya's chest, as if it was pulled by something. Luocio waved his finger, and the pool of black liquid was thrown on the floor. The liquid was like a strong acid, immediately corroding the floor, making a sizzling sound and emitting black smoke. Yu Yi took a handkerchief and gave it to Luocio at this time. Luocio wiped his palm with the handkerchief and said, Well, Miss Long, the thing you want has been delivered. It's so simple. Thinking that she originally intended to spy on the background of this shop, but ended up in this situation, Long Shirua couldn't help but feel bitter in her heart. But at the same time, she became even more fearful of this mysterious shop. Even she had suffered such a big loss and was unable to fight back. What kind of terrifying thing was hidden behind this shop? Miss Long, it's time to pay the transaction fee, Miss Maid suddenly said at this time. Long Shirua stared at Yu Yi and snorted, Don't worry, I'll never go back on my word. It's just a drop of blood, I'll release it for you right away. But she lost the power of Shinryu, so it was not so easy to get a drop of blood. So Long Shirua helplessly put her finger into her mouth. The simplest way was to bite her finger. No need to be so troublesome. Luocio smiled and said, If Miss Long has a wound now, I'm afraid it won't heal so quickly. Before Long Shirua could react, Boss Luo stretched out his hand. Long Shirua frowned and subconsciously stretched out her hand. She hesitated for a moment and finally put her hand in Luocio's palm. It's done. However, Luocio released his hand at the moment of contact. When he opened his palm again, a drop of red blood with a slight golden and purple light appeared in his palm. This was a drop of Shinryu Kelowna's blood. Boss Luo took away Long Shirua's drop of blood so easily. It didn't hurt at all. Then, I'm looking forward to your next visit, dear Miss Long. Luocio slightly bowed and said. Miss Maid naturally also followed the boss and bowed slightly. Long Shirua frowned at this time. Many thoughts kept circling in her mind. For example, should she take this opportunity to ask for Shinryu's power to be restored? However, this thought was quickly dispelled. The true dragon's strength had been sealed because he had taken the initiative to attack the other party. If he wanted to recover it now, it would take more than just a drop or two of blood. In order to save Chichikamaya, she was willing to sacrifice Shinryu's soul. Just like what Chichikamaya said to Iron Whistle, everyone had their own wishes, but they all had a selfish side. But she couldn't use Shinryu's soul to restore her power. Zhuefeng. Long Shirua took a deep breath and said, Zhuefeng? I know. Zhuefeng got something from you, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have disappeared in front of the ghost child and then appeared again to be able to control others. I'm sorry, Miss Long. It's the shop's rule that we can't reveal the details of transactions. Luoqiu shook his head. Long Shirua said quickly, Okay. I know Zhuefeng has captured Xu Xiaoshu's family, and I'm afraid he's here now. I want you to ensure the safety of all the people under his control, and help Zhuefeng get rid of his inner demon and restore him to normal. How many drops of blood do you want? Tell me. Ensure the safety of those under his control? Luoqiu said softly, That's easy. But to get rid of Zhuefeng's inner demon, I'm afraid it can't be paid with ordinary Shinryu's blood. Miss Long, if you really want our shop to help you, please pay at least a quarter of Shinryu's blood essence. At least a quarter of blood essence. This price was obviously far beyond Long Shirua's estimation. It could even be said that it was unbelievably expensive. Zhuefeng's inner demon, what is it? Long Shirua frowned at this time. We speculate that he may be the last descendant of Xianji. Could it be? About this, I'm sorry, this isn't the information of Wuchang. Luoqiu shook his head. Then, what's Zhuefeng's purpose? Long Shirua asked suddenly. But Boss Luo kept silent at this time. Apparently, he had expected Long Shirua's sudden question, and he just looked at her with a faint smile. I understand, I'll sell my blood, okay? Long Shirua glared at him. You can't just ask for a quarter of my blood essence just to know his purpose, right? As long as she knew his purpose, she could judge whether it was worth a quarter of her blood essence or not. Since Chichikamaya was fine, she was no longer but a Shinryu who shouldered Kelowna's demon race. She had to consider more problems from the overall situation. Indeed, she was the only Shinryu of Kelowna, but Kelowna's demon race was not limited to only her. But this Kelowna Shinryu also subconsciously neglected one thing. She had already made a deal with the club one after another. It was as if after starting a deal, unknowingly, she couldn't turn back. Since Miss Long requested, then please pay 800 milliliters. But before the boss said the transaction fee, Chichikamaya, who was lying on the ground, suddenly opened her eyes and blurted out, Lord Long, think twice. Chichikamaya's words woke Long Shirua up. Master Tortoise. Chichikamaya, you're awake. Chichikamaya took a deep breath, standing up with the help of his crutch. Tortoise's breath is going to end, it needs some time to start. Although I couldn't move just now, I've regained my hearing. I've heard Lord Long and... He glanced at this guy in front of him, thinking of the moment when Xiang Lu's disaster happened that day. He couldn't help showing a hint of fear. The conversation with this gentleman. Lord Long, I think it's different. Master, you don't need to buy anything, because I've already got a solution. Sir, please go back. Chichikamaya took a deep breath again, facing an inexplicable fear, looking at Luoqiu seriously. Lord Long won't make any more deals with you. Chichikamaya, do you really have a solution? Long Shirua frowned and asked. Chichikamaya nodded heavily. Master, if you don't believe me, I'm willing to sign a life and death contract. It's too heavy, no need. Long Shirua shook her head. I believe you. While saying, she looked at Boss Luo. You've heard it. Since we're free to buy and sell, then just pretend I didn't mention it. She originally thought that the boss would be a little angry at this time, or at least show some displeasure. But Boss Luo refreshed Kelowna Shinryu's understanding again. Then, I won't disturb you too. Boss Luo nodded with a smile, then turned away. He wasn't unhappy, let alone angry. Weird guy. After confirming that Luoqiu and the maid really left, Long Shirua looked at the direction where the boss left, murmuring softly. Unconsciously, she had a strange curiosity about this person. It seemed that she had changed some of her views. Really left? Chichikamaya was still nervously looking around, looking frightened. Long Shirua couldn't help laughing. You old turtle, where's your awe-inspiring aura? Now you know fear? Chichikamaya swallowed his saliva, saying hesitantly, Lord Long, forgive me for asking, you became like this, is it because… Knowing that Chichikamaya already knew something, Long Shirua couldn't help but sigh, nodding slightly, saying helplessly, I couldn't even force him to attack, my power was sealed. That's why I said you were really brave just now. Chichikamaya was so scared that his face turned pale, and his lips trembled slightly. Oh my God, did I just offend such a horrible guy? Okay, stop trembling. Long Shirua shook her head, that guy doesn't hold grudges. He probably won't hold grudges against you, an old turtle with one foot in the coffin, for such a small thing. But how could Chichikamaya stop trembling? Long Shirua shook her head, but she was thinking about something else. She subconsciously bit her fingernail and said, Just now I used a drop of Shinryu's blood to help you expel the poison as soon as possible. But to know Xuefeng's purpose, we need… He said 800 milliliters? So much? What is Xuefeng's real purpose? Chichikamaya, let me ask you, do you really have a solution, and not just putting on an act? How would I dare to lie to you? Chichikamaya quickly said, and took a deep breath, spitting out a bead from his body. Why did you spit out your bead at this time? Could it be that your method is to use the secret technique again? Long Shirua couldn't help but be angry. Chichikamaya, don't you know how many lives you have left? No. Don't worry, milady. Chichikamaya laughed. I spit out the bead not to use the secret technique, but to help milady recover your strength temporarily. What did you say? Chichikamaya smiled. Do you remember when I used the secret technique that day? I asked milady for a drop of blood? Actually, with the ghost baby nearby, he can guard the demons, so there's no need for milady to use Shinryu's blood. The reason why I asked you for it is to make some preparations, just in case. Now is the time to use this method. Chichikamaya handed the bead to Long Shirua, and said seriously, Milady, you know the origin of this bead. I won't say more, but I'll tell you how to temporarily recover your strength. It can borrow milady's Shinryu's blood and temporarily imitate milady's posture. You only need to hold this bead, and you can control the imitated figure to fight. However, Shinryu's strength is too great, so the imitated figure only has 30% of milady's normal strength, and it can only last for 5 minutes. Milady, you have to hurry up. Only 5 minutes? Isn't that enough? Even if Xuefeng is really a descendant of Shunku, he's still young, so his true strength isn't strong. 30% of milady's strength is more than enough. Chichikamaya stroked his white beard. With these 5 minutes, milady can easily capture Xuefeng. As long as he's captured, all the problems will be solved naturally. As for milady, you want to get rid of Xuefeng's inner demon. Since you've already captured him, why can't you take it slowly? Whether you put him in the underground spiritual vein to wash, or use medicine to expel it, you can always find a way. At the beginning, he had asked for a drop of blood, and now it played an important role. Long Shirua couldn't help but sigh at Chichikamaya's craftiness. Time is of the essence, let's go now. This is… Cheese looked at the place in front of him with a dignified expression. This was the place where he followed Xuefeng to, one of the sub-halls of the gymnasium. This was the indoor basketball court. At this time, Wind-Chasing Wolf directly walked to the center of the basketball court. He waved his hand, and Nini threw a football towards Xuefeng. Xuefeng stepped on the football, looking at Cheese and sneered, Let's play here, Cheese. But before the game, I want to say something fun. Yua, what do you want to do? Cheese asked angrily. Xuefeng clapped his hands, and Nini pushed a mobile cabinet with a cover from the side. She pulled away the cloth on the cabinet, and 6 laptops appeared in a row. Nini opened these laptops one by one, and Cheese couldn't calm down after seeing the pictures on the laptop. He roared at Xuefeng, "Xuefeng? You've gone too far. What did you do to my mother?" In the pictures there were different people. Xu Xiaoshu, his brothers and sisters, and Xiao Jiang. Beside each of them stood a human or a demon. These fellows all held a dagger and pressed it against each of their necks. Xuefeng ignored Cheese's roar and laughed. "The rules are very simple. Let's shoot each other. If you take 1 point from me, I'll let go of 1. You can choose who to let go first. But on the contrary, if I take 1 point from you..." Xuefeng's eyes were red, and he looked at Cheese ferociously. "I'll kill 1, and you can choose who to kill." "Xuefeng!" Cheese rushed to Xuefeng with red eyes and grabbed Xuefeng's collar. "Let them go! Let them go!" "Are you going to kill me?" Xuefeng said indifferently. "Yes, as long as you dare to do it." "What? Do it." "Xuefeng, I beg you, let them go. No matter what you do to me, I only beg you to let them go. Okay?" Cheese begged. "Since you don't want to do it, let's start the competition." Xuefeng slapped Cheese's hands away. "If you still don't want to compete, I'll have to kill them immediately." Cheese knelt down on the ground, his hands pressed on the floor, and his head was lowered. He felt that all his strength was sucked away. He felt that this nightmare was too horrible. But should he compete or not? Outside the field, Nini stood motionless with a dull expression, but a line of tears flowed out from her eyes. Yen PS1. If there is no accident, the story of Qing Iran and Xuefeng will come to an end in these 2 days. PS2. Thank you to all of you who have been following me and giving me so much patience so that I can create one story after another in peace. Chapter 525. Looking at the miserable Cheese, Xuefeng said indifferently, "Hurry up, I don't have time to wait for you. I'll count to 30 seconds, start or not." Cheese's shoulders trembled slightly. He didn't even dare to imagine how he would face that choice if he lost 1 point. Choosing a loved one to die in front of him. What a nightmare it was. It's not the time to daydream. Don't move, don't let others know I'm talking. But at this moment, a woman's voice came into Cheese's ears, making his heart beat wildly. "Can you hear me? If you hear me, just tap with your finger. Remember, tap gently, I can see it." Cheese tapped the floor subconsciously. The woman continued, "I know you're curious about who I am, but it's not the time to ask about it. The most important thing is how to solve your current predicament. Listen, I don't know what grudges you have with the guy in front of you, but what he did was too despicable. I didn't want to meddle in other people's business, but this time I can't stand it. You try to stall for time with him, and I'll find a way to find out where your loved ones are held. Do you understand?" Cheese didn't know where this woman came from. He had never heard the same voice before, and he didn't know if she really wanted to help him. But now, it was as if he had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. He quickly tapped the floor with his finger. "Remember, try to stall for time. I'm going." Cheese raised his head subconsciously, but there was no moving shadow in the basketball stadium. At this moment, Xuefeng said, "Well, have you made your decision?" Cheese took a deep breath, and then stood up slowly. He thought of the woman's words, trying to stall for time. So he looked at Xuefeng silently, but didn't say anything. "What, are you protesting me with silence?" Xuefeng sneered. "It's useless, I said 30 seconds, so it's 30 seconds. Wait," Cheese said in a low voice, "how can I believe you? They are all in your hands. How can I trust this rule? What if I win and you don't let him go?" Xuefeng sneered. "Do I need you to believe me? It's up to you whether you want to compete or not. I don't care whether you want to kill me or not." Cheese snorted. "Then, I won't compete with you. If you have the ability, you can kill all of them, including me. This way, you can forget about defeating me for the rest of your life, because you won't have another chance." Xuefeng laughed and said, "Funny. Half a year ago, you lost to me once. I've already won. Cheese said in a low voice. At that time, I let you win because I wanted to let you win. If we do it again, it may not be the same. However, if you are willing to live on because of me, then you can do it. Cheese took a deep breath, but closed his eyes and said angrily, Do it. Juefeng's eyes became uncertain. After a while, he sighed and said in a low voice, What do you want? However, it's impossible for me to let them go. Cheese said slowly, Let me think. I want an absolutely fair competition. That way, even if I lose, I can accept it wholeheartedly. You want fairness? Juefeng frowned. Cheese said, That's right. Absolutely fair. Your demonic power is stronger than mine, so this time is the same as last time. You can't use demonic power, you can only rely on your own skills. If you use demonic power, even if you lose, you have to let them go. Do I need demonic power to win against you? Juefeng sneered. I agree to this condition. Alright, cut the crap, let's start. Wait, Cheese said again. I have another condition. You're so annoying. If you don't agree, then kill me. Say it. Juefeng held his breath impatiently. Cheese looked at Nini and said, If I have more points than you in the end, I want you to release the control on Nini. I agree. Juefeng waved his hand and said loudly. His quick reply was out of Cheese's expectation. What he wanted to say was stuck in his stomach. Then let's start. Juefeng snorted. Cheese had to bite the bullet and said, Wait! What else do you want to do? If you dare to talk about conditions, I'll lose my patience. Juefeng's face darkened. I want to warm up first. Where did they hide her? Damn it, there are too many humans and their auras are too messy. Outside the basketball stadium, a petite figure was moving quickly. Her eyes swept through all the places in her sight, trying to analyze the places that matched the background in the notebook. Alas, I'm meddling in other people's business again. She suddenly sighed, because she remembered that she almost died last time because of meddling in other people's business. Big Sister Rin. If she didn't see me backstage, she wouldn't have flipped out, right? She sighed helplessly and looked at the moon. The moon was quite bright tonight. Then she suddenly muttered, I want to eat scallion pancakes. I need more soy sauce, more ham, more chicken fillet, more eggs, more meat floss. I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat. She took a deep breath and jumped onto the top of a nearby tree. I need to be more attentive and save them first. She took a deep breath and jumped onto the top of a nearby tree. She closed her eyes and slowly raised her palm. Then, she gently blew a stream of cold air onto her palm. The cold air spun in her palm and quickly divided into 4 balls. They spun and spun. The 4 balls of cold air quickly gathered and then turned into 4 white fluffy balls. She smiled and said, Snow fairies, do me a favor. She waved her hand and the 4 snow fairies flew into the air, moving quickly in different directions. It seemed that the people who didn't pay attention to this competition, or the demons, were all running separately for their own purposes. For example, Sir Ma finally ran to the place where the fireworks were set off. Sir Ma panted and showed his signboard. I'm Ma Howd from the Criminal Police Brigade, this is my ID. Who's in charge here? I am. A middle-aged man walked out in fear and trepidation. Sir, what's the matter? Ma Howd said without hesitation, I order you to stop all the fireworks immediately. Why, officer, you don't have the authority to do that, right? The middle-aged man considered and said, If the leader of the TV station didn't say so, officer, I can't promise you. F*CKU. Ma Howd said angrily, Why are you still doing this to me? If I wait for you to ask for instructions from your superiors, it'll be too late. Let me tell you, I suspect that there's a bomb hidden in these fireworks. Bomb. The staff here looked at Ma Howd in horror. The middle-aged man was even more frightened. Officer, this is not a joke. Is it true? I found the fire truck that was supposed to come here to help 1 kilometer away, Ma Howd said quickly. All the firefighters were knocked unconscious. What do you think? The middle-aged man was shocked, but he still said calmly, But, officer, even if you found it, you can't be sure? F*CKU. Ma Howd grabbed his collar and strangled his neck. Even if there's only 1% chance, you'll let it go? There are at least 50 to 70,000 people in this stadium. Are you responsible for the lives of tens of thousands of people? F*CKU. Stop, stop, stop. Tell everyone to stop. The middle-aged man gave the order in horror. A few of the staff members immediately started to move and ran out. Sir Ma let go of him and said quickly, I've called for backup and the bomb disposal team. They'll be here soon. Now, tell me, how many fireworks were set off at the scene, and where are they? Officer, don't tell me you don't know where the bombs are? If I knew, I'd go there directly. Why would I ask you for help? To hook up. The middle-aged man tightened his chrysanthemum and nodded his head hurriedly. Yes. Officer Ma was so popular that he could say anything he wanted. However, officer, there are a total of 18 places where the fireworks are installed, and they are all around the stadium. Give me the location map first. Ma Howd took a deep breath and said, 18? Let's start from here. The first one. Also, I want you to find the person with the highest authority. I need to stop tonight's festival immediately. No. Ma Howd suddenly frowned. Officer, what's wrong? Ma Howd looked terrible. If there's really a bomb here, then the person who put it must be up to no good. If the event stops, not to mention the chaos and panic, I'm afraid it will anger the criminal. If he suddenly explodes it, D*MN. Officer, what should we do? Wait, don't worry. Don't worry, these are all hypotheses. Ma Howd took a deep breath and calmed himself down. When was the original plan to set off the fireworks? The middle-aged man looked at his watch and said nervously, According to the original plan, there's still about 40 minutes. My people need at least 20 minutes to catch up. Can't they make it? Ma Howd frowned deeply. They couldn't evacuate the crowd immediately. Not to mention whether it would cause panic. In such a short time, they couldn't completely evacuate the crowd. Instead, they might anger the criminal. This was strange. Ma Howd's heart suddenly jumped. This shouldn't be some crazy terrorist attack. This kind of attack usually happened without warning. When it really happened, it would cause a huge loss of life and property. D*MN. Sir Ma couldn't help but scratch his head. But at this moment, he only felt his head suddenly become heavy. Then he fell to the ground unconscious. The middle-aged man raised the walkie-talkie in his hand, but his eyes were empty, and he muttered to himself, How can I let you ruin my best friend's plan? His eyes suddenly became sober, and then he twisted the walkie-talkie, saying quickly, Come back, it's okay. Don't stop. It's a misunderstanding. Damn it. These policemen always do things recklessly, and they don't investigate clearly. After that, the middle-aged man looked at Ma Howd, who fell to the ground, with a trace of ferocious light in his eyes. Without thinking, he took the rope next to him, and tied it around Sir Ma's neck, and then he tightened it with force. But when he used all his strength, the rope suddenly broke. Before he had time to be stunned, he felt his body was suddenly lifted up by something, and directly hit against the wall beside him. Bang! This impact was so strong that he fainted in an instant. There were 2 people who had fallen here. But at this time, a figure frowned and walked out, wearing an inappropriate firefighter's uniform. Bomb! He also frowned deeply. Taking a deep breath, this firefighter, Mo Xiaofei, looked at one of the fireworks installed here with great effort. His eyes were very bright, but at the same time, he endured a slight headache. He was seeing through the things inside. There seems to be none here. There are still 17 places. The police's support won't arrive so soon, and I can't tell the audience and cause panic. I have to do something at least. His eyes were extremely firm. He quickly tied the middle-aged man up, and then tried to wake up Ma Howd, but he couldn't. It seemed that his superpower couldn't wake up a fainted person. Helplessly, he could only transfer Sir Ma to a safe place, and then put on a gas mask. This was the equipment that he took from a firefighter in the fire truck outside the site. Mo Xiaofei took a deep breath. He remembered what he had said to the boss, so now he silently endured the more intense headache, and let his body fly. I hope I can catch up. In the backstage where the flashing lights and people gathered, Hong Guan was taking deep breaths to relax himself. After the veteran singer got off the stage, it would be his turn. There wasn't much time left. He was not alone here. Manager Cheng. Iran hasn't arrived yet? Hong Guan looked at Qing Yun and asked. Qing Yun shook his head. I just talked to the driver on the phone. He said that Qing Iran suddenly got off the car and didn't come back. Oh, I don't understand, where did he go? Well, Hong Guan sighed with a complicated expression in his eyes. Don't think too much, he's a big man, it's okay. Qing Yun comforted, don't think too much, just sing a song. Remember, you're the finale. Having said that, but Qing Yun couldn't figure out why the second young master let Hong Guan be the finale. So many big shots had performed before, and each of them was better than the last. Hong Guan was not Qing Iran. How could he do it? He would be a big joke. Chapter 526. At the top of the gymnasium, the coolness of the night seemed to make the air less turbid for Luoqiu and Miss Servant Girl. Well, in order to complete the deal with Mississippi Long, we missed a singer. Boss Luo looked at the huge stage below. Although he said so, he didn't seem to feel pity. Miss Servant Girl withdrew her gaze from a certain direction, then came to her master, saying softly, Master, Mississippi Ren, don't we need to care about her? Subeditor Ren's figure kept wandering around the library. She was already drenched in sweat. Luo Qiu shook his head at this moment. It's okay. She has been sitting in the office for a long time recently. She complains that she has excess fat and also complains that I cook too much vegetables and meat. Then let her exercise. Although he said so, the boss still looked over. He didn't turn back immediately. This woman has always been very foolish. No matter when, even if it's just for someone she doesn't know, she will still work so hard to this extent. Miss Servant Girl saw that her master's eyes were full of tenderness. She didn't disturb her master's attention at this time, but observed the situation around. When she saw a figure flying rapidly in the dark night, her eyes slightly brightened. She seemed to be able to smell the fragrance mentioned by her master. So Miss Servant Girl withdrew her gaze, and looked at the direction of the gymnasium. Over here. In the center of the indoor basketball court, Zhuifeng's eyes suddenly darkened. Are you ready or not? Lifting leg, pressing leg, stretching. Qi seemed to be doing all the warm-up exercises he knew, but now he was doing finger exercises. It's a big deal, of course I have to make the best preparation, Qi said seriously. If your relatives were treated like this, can you be careless? I have no relatives. Zhuifeng suddenly got angry, roaring, Qi. I'll start right away. If you delay, I'll do as you wish. I'll kill them all. Nini, do it? Qi was shocked. He knew that he couldn't delay any longer. He broke out in cold sweat and said, Don't? Alright. I'm fine now. We can begin now. Zhuifeng snorted and waved his hand, signaling Nini to stop typing. Qi took a deep breath and said, Okay, but I'll attack first. As you wish. Zhuifeng chuckled and kicked the football at Qi. There is no goal here. As long as you can avoid my defense and dribble the ball to the end line, you can get 1 point. You said that you wouldn't use your demon power, and only rely on your own skills. Qi took the ball. And you don't want to foul, pull, or knock down. Come on. Zhuifeng grabbed his knees with both hands and bent his waist. Qi took a deep breath. At this point, he couldn't count on the progress of the mysterious woman. The only thing he could do was to try his best to get 1 point from Juefeng. He could only do it seriously and without reservation. With a tiptoe, Cheese kicked the football up gently. All the cells in his body were tense at this time. Like an arrow, he sprinted toward the left side of Wind Chasing Wolf with great momentum. Come on, come on, come on! Juefeng clapped his hands. That's right, Cheese, that's right. I won't let you pass. Juefeng lifted his leg and chased after Cheese. Even without demon power, his speed was still very fast. I'll definitely pass you. Let's see what you can do. Little guy, it's too early for a fake move. Don't be complacent again. Between the four legs, the football was fiercely fought for. Cheese's heartbeat quickened, and he tried his best to keep the football. The only thing he thought about was how to win against Juefeng, even though he heard Juefeng's laughter. What are you laughing at? Are you laughing at me? Cheese calmed down and told himself not to be affected by Juefeng's laughter. Finally, he seized an opportunity. He stopped, changed directions, and repeated several times, pass. Taking advantage of the moment when Juefeng's center of gravity was unstable, Cheese suddenly sprinted from the right side of Juefeng. He dribbled the ball and sprinted towards the end line of the basketball court with all his strength. But at this moment, a short figure suddenly appeared behind him. Juefeng. He didn't let Cheese pass so easily. At this time, he used the inertia of running to lower his body. Shovel. And it was a very accurate shovel. Cheese was careless and the ball was shoveled away. Because he was too anxious, he lost his center of gravity and fell to the ground. When he struggled to get up, he saw that Juefeng was already stepping on the ball. He looked at him and shrugged. I didn't commit a foul just now. Again! The ball is on my side, it's my turn. Juefeng chuckled and sprinted towards the end line on the other side. This point is mine. Don't be so proud. One ball, Juefeng and Cheese, both gave way to each other back and forth. It was only the first ball, but 5 minutes had passed, and there was still no winner. And the only spectator here, Nini, was watching all this silently. Stop, stop, she seemed to want to say something, but soon returned to her blank state. 6 minutes passed, 7 minutes passed, 8 minutes passed. They were still fighting for the ownership of the first point. Cheese was sweating profusely. He carried everything on his back, and every movement was heavy with pressure. Every time, he squeezed out all his strength. Juefeng also had a lot of sweat on his body, but his face was full of smiles. Not bad, you're quite tenacious to be able to hold on until now. But it looks like you can't do it. I haven't done my best. Cheese gasped, but not to be outdone. I haven't even done half of my strength. Then I've only used 30%. Juefeng snorted coldly. I haven't even used 20%. What are you so proud of? Tisk tsk. I'll pass you. Juefeng's eyes suddenly became unusually sharp. At this time, the football was at his feet. This time, Juefeng suddenly turned his back in front of Cheese, kicked the football with the tip of his foot, and raised it to his knee position. He shook it again, trying to shake the football over Cheese's head. Cheese took a deep breath, and knew Juefeng's intention. He subconsciously turned around. He couldn't let him succeed. He had to protect his family and friends. But where was the ball? Where was the ball that was supposed to fall behind him? Why couldn't he see it? Why? When Cheese subconsciously turned his head, he saw Juefeng with one hand on the ground. His body was upside down, and his legs were clamping the football at this time. The moment he shook the ball, the moment Cheese turned around, he clamped the football again. When Cheese saw this scene, Juefeng had already landed quickly, and sprinted past him from the other side. Bottom line, bottom line, bottom line. Cheese subconsciously chased after Juefeng's back, using all his strength, and even his monster power. His speed suddenly increased by several times, faster. He was about to catch Juefeng's clothes. Almost there, almost there. Caught it. Cheese was delighted. He only caught Juefeng's clothes behind, but the clothes were torn. Juefeng, he couldn't catch him in the end. He could only watch Juefeng cross the end line, and then fiercely shoot the football towards the front wall. Ah! Juefeng at this time roared to the sky. He panted for a while, then turned his head, looking at Cheese, who was almost desperate. I don't have any monster power, but you used it, but it doesn't matter, I got this point first. Puff! Cheese knelt on the ground in despair and lowered his head deeply. Then, make a decision. Juefeng's eyes flashed red. Your mother, your brother and sister, and Xiao Jiang, who will you choose? Who will you choose? Who will he choose? Cheese's body trembled, as if he had entered a dark, cold and sealed space. He couldn't even hear any sound. His pupils expanded to the maximum. He subconsciously looked at the screens of many laptops outside the field, looking at those familiar faces. Close family friends. I can't do it, I can't do it. Cheese collapsed, holding his head, crying out loud. I can't do it. I can't do it. Juefeng, if possible, I'd rather replace one of them. I can't do it. I beg you, let them go, okay? You're so cowardly. Juefeng ignored him, snorting. Since you can't do it, then I'll help you choose. No! Then your mother. Juefeng sneered. One corpse, two lives, this is the best. Nini, do it? Ah. Cheese hugged his head tightly. He opened his mouth and large drops of tears flowed out. Nini stood still, as if she was struggling. Her eyelids trembled slightly, as if she was in great pain. Nini, do it. Juefeng opened his mouth, spitting out a bell from his mouth, shaking it hard, shouting angrily. Do it? Nini finally shed tears again, but her fingers fell heavily on the keyboard of Shu Xiaoshu's laptop. No! Cheese's eyes turned red. Juefeng? I'll kill you. Complete demonization. No longer looking like a human child, Cheese had completely demonized, with sharp claws, gray ears and sharp incisors. I'll kill you! At this time, the screens of the laptops suddenly shook, as if the camera lens fell to the ground. Cheese, who was in a frenzy, stopped abruptly when he noticed this. At this time, the camera was quickly adjusted, but it wasn't Shu Xiaoshu and the others who appeared on the screens, but a face that was simply covered with a handkerchief, only revealing a pair of smart eyes. But at least it could be seen that it was a woman. Hello, can you hear me? Looking at the woman who suddenly appeared, Juefeng said coldly, Who are you? Me? I'm just a busybody with interests. Alas, I'm just a passerby, don't mind me. The masked woman giggled and said, That one over there has demonized? You're just a little mouse. Hey little mouse, I'll help you here, the rest is up to you. You'd better run away, I don't think you can defeat this guy. Don't waste your energy, I'm going to eat scallion pancakes. Damn you! Juefeng's body emitted a bloody shadow. How dare you ruin my business? I'll tear you apart. I'm so scared. The masked woman patted her chest, but lifted a corner of the handkerchief, sticking out her tongue. Ha 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 ha. Wait for me. The bloody shadow on Juefeng's body almost materialized, an unbelievably huge demonic power was released. Bang! The gate of the basketball court was suddenly broken open, a figure flashed and appeared in front of Cheese in a blink of an eye. Looking at the back, Cheese couldn't help but be surprised and happy. Lord Long. Looks like I made it in time. The Long Shirua in front of him was just like the one in Cheese's memory, tall, noble, and beautiful. Don't talk, I'll deal with this immediately. Long Shirua quickly waved her hand, then looked at Juefeng with a stern look. Juefeng, before you cause a big disaster. I'll deal with you. Show no mercy. Kelowna Shinryu's Shinryu power spread, making the bloody shadow on Juefeng's body tremble faintly, but he was furious. Why? Why do you all want to stop me? So what if you're Kelowna Shinryu? Come and kill me if you dare. Feng's bloody shadow suddenly broke away from his body, rushing into the air, and then disappeared, but Feng's body was covered with dark red curses. Long Shira frowned subconsciously. She was shocked. How did Feng's monster power increase so fast? It almost reached the level of Xiang Lu. Feng stamped his legs and rushed up, breaking the ceiling of the basketball stadium and into the night sky. Long Shira focused her eyes, turning into a golden light, chasing after him. There were only 5 minutes. She didn't care whether she would be exposed or not. The masked woman. Lizzie lowered her head, thinking that she could see more. But how can you see things that are not in the camera's view? There's nothing to see? Lizzie shrugged. Since it's Kelowna Shinryu, there's no suspense. I'd better take these monsters away. And there's a pregnant one. The one called wind chasing is really ruthless. Lizzie shook her head, first untying the rope on Shu Xiaoshu. But at this moment, something seemed to fall out from Shu Xiaoshu's body. Lizzie looked down subconsciously and was stunned. It was a bun with red liquid. It was a blood bag. Lizzie frowned and subconsciously searched for the big and small monsters that were caught. She found that all of them had this kind of blood bag on their bodies. Chapter 527. While Lizzie was wondering about these findings, she suddenly heard Cheese's voice behind her. She turned around and saw Cheese's face almost occupied the whole screen of the laptop. Don't worry, your family is fine. They just lost their souls for a while. Lizzie said quickly. Grandma also said quickly, Where are you? I'll come to you right away. Lizzie suddenly said, Let me come to you. I'll be there soon. Just give me a moment. With that, Lizzie closed the notebook. The screen suddenly turned black and nothing could be seen. Only Cheese and Nini were left in the basketball stadium. Cheese still couldn't feel relieved. How could he be relieved when he couldn't see his family members come to him safely? Nini? Cheese walked to Nini, grabbing her shoulder and shaking it gently. Nini, can you hear me? Nini was stupefied. Cheese could only pin his hope on Long Shirua. Looking at the big hole in the ceiling of the basketball stadium, he didn't know how Lord Long and Feng were now. If I can become stronger too. He suddenly realized a problem. That was, if he had that kind of powerful strength, he probably wouldn't encounter such a desperate situation. The choice of choosing his family members to die, even now, was enough to make him feel scared. He didn't know how he could hold on at that time. The horrible feeling of his body and heart collapsing in an instant. He had no choice. Cheese was sure that no one could make a choice, no matter who it was. When Cheese was lost in his thoughts, a side door on the other side of the basketball court was opened suddenly. He was scared and hurried to look over, but he saw a masked woman carrying Shu Xiaoshu out of the court. Hi! Why are you so fast? Cheese was stunned, and then he ran to the woman's side. At this moment, he completely regarded her as his savior. Your family members are hiding behind here. Lizzie shrugged. If I had known, I wouldn't have worked so hard to find them outside. I wasted a lot of time. Just here? Cheese was stunned and couldn't believe it. His family members and Xiao Jiang were just a door away? Cheese quickly passed Lizzie and pushed the door to the most open. He saw his brother and sister, Xiao Jiang, lying on the ground, but it seemed that they were safe. Thank you. I will never forget your kindness in my life. Cheese looked at the masked woman gratefully, taking a deep breath. I'll repay your kindness. Let's not talk about this. Lizzie put down Shu Xiaoshu and suddenly said, By the way, I want to tell you something. That guy didn't seem to intend to kill your family members and friends. You see, this is what I found from them. Lizzie stretched out her hand. There was a palm-sized blood bag on her open palm. Cheese took it from Lizzie's hand subconsciously, opening his mouth slightly. Feng, but he obviously. I don't know. Is it something between you two? Lizzie shrugged her shoulders and said, I don't know what that guy is thinking. His eyes are full of violence and killing intent. I don't understand you. Forget it. Well, then I'll say goodbye. Wait, you haven't told me your name, benefactor. Well. Lizzie put her finger on her chin, thinking for a while. Well, if you really want to repay me, how about this? If you meet a human named Renziling, if she is in any trouble or danger, just help her. But you can't tell her, you can only do it secretly. She doesn't know the existence of monsters. Renziling, human? Cheese took a deep breath, nodding. Okay, I'll remember it. I'll never forget it. Bye-bye. Lizzie, who turned into a masked heroine, jumped easily and left through the big hole above, but she didn't say that she left this place. She just found a place to hide, silently watching the crazy intertwining golden and purple lights in the night sky. The collision of golden and purple lights was among the laser lights above the gymnasium. They were hidden in the laser lights, which seemed to bring a different kind of magnificence to the originally monotonous light. But because of the complicated laser lights, this extremely dangerous battle didn't seem to attract the attention of tens of thousands of people underground. Or maybe they didn't notice it at all. They were all attracted by the hot atmosphere, staring at the stage and the big screen on the stage, as if they forgot everything. This is the Kelowna Shinryu. Why do I feel that it's not as powerful as the legend? Lizzie raised the camera and compared it to the night sky. What's the origin of this Xuefeng? How could he be on par with the Kelowna Shinryu? But come to think of it, such an obvious battle, why did no one pay attention to it? Were they all stupid? I'm so hungry. Mom! Wake up! Mom! Wake up! Cheese gently shook Xu Xiaoshu's shoulder at this time, but her expression was still blank, just like Nini's. Everything else was the same. Ringing bell. Cheese was shocked at the scene where Xuefeng once took a ringing bell. Did it mean that as long as he destroyed the ringing bell, I have to inform Lord Long about this? Cheese took a deep breath, wanting to take action, but at the moment when he was about to take action, his body suddenly stopped. He subconsciously looked at a certain direction. That was the direction of the main venue. He listened carefully subconsciously. The sound was getting louder and louder, as if someone was standing in front of him and singing. The strong and powerful sound of the guitar seemed to be telling something, which made him absent-minded. But Cheese quickly shook his head. Now was not the time to listen to music. Cheese, Nini. It was the first time. Seeing Nini call his name for the first time, Cheese walked to Nini with surprise. Nini, are you awake? Nini's face showed a struggling expression, suddenly falling to the ground, but she struggled to support herself. Looking at Cheese, her eyes were red and big drops of tears flowed down. Cheese. I saw it. Xuefeng, he is crying by himself, crying very painful. Cheese, Nini, what do you want to say? Cheese frowned. Nini grabbed her head. It seemed that she was in more pain. Her mind seemed to be pulled by two different forces. One came from Xuefeng's voice, and the other, what was it? It sounded like a song. But with the two forces pulling back and forth, she regained some clarity in front of her. She said with difficulty, I don't know, maybe he thought that we were controlled and wouldn't know, but I can see. I can feel, he said a lot of strange things. Xuefeng, what happened to him? Cheese, be careful behind. Cheese turned his head subconsciously, but only saw a black shadow. He couldn't even see the shadow's appearance clearly, then he suddenly felt darkness in front of him and fainted. Cheese, who fell to the ground, was clamped by the black shadow, and jumped out of the hole on the roof of the basketball court. Nini's eyelids became heavier. She didn't even have the strength to stand up. It seemed that Xuefeng's voice was stronger than the two forces in her mind. Uncle. Shuyu? How come? Chapter 528. The singer's stage is about to welcome the last substitute singer. On the stage, the gorgeously dressed supporter said loudly into the microphone, I believe everyone must be very curious about this new substitute singer. Who is this person? Hey, I can give you some information. As far as I know, this substitute singer has formed a band with Chingyuran, who won the first place with almost all the votes in the last episode. But at this time there was enthusiastic booing. Only a few, very few dozens of people exclaimed. They were the audience from the last episode. But the tens of thousands of people present could only watch the live broadcast on the internet, or the replay. For the past week, they had mostly been cursing the so-called champion of the previous episode. The host probably didn't expect such a contrast. He seemed to be unable to suppress the emotions of the audience. But he was thick-skinned enough, so he said with a fake smile, "It seems that everyone is quite enthusiastic? Then let's not delay. Let's welcome the last singer of today. Let's welcome him." Backstage, after hearing the host's words, Hong Guan took a deep breath and walked to the entrance. At this time, he was not alone. There were two young men of similar age, wearing ordinary clothes. They looked at each other and nodded, then put their hands on each other's shoulders and stepped out. They walked out. At this time, the scene was very quiet, so quiet that it made people's hair stand on end. Hong Guan braced himself, holding Ching Yiran's guitar, and walked to the lead singer's position. And the other two young men, one walked to the front of the electronic piano, and the other walked to the front of the jazz drum and sat down. The scene was still deathly silent. Hong Guan knew that he wasn't famous. To these tens of thousands of people, he was just a stranger to them. It was only because of an opportunity that he stepped onto this large stage. The reaction of the audience was so normal. But he didn't care, but looked around the rows of seats in front of the stage. Hong Guan took a deep breath and picked up his microphone. His voice was a bit nervous but strong. "I know it's a bit against the rules, but please allow me to say a few words before the official start. Because I know I may not have the chance to say these words on such a big stage in the future. Thank you." Hong Guan made a deep bow in front of the people. The audience was still very quiet at this time. They silently looked at the stage, looked at the screen, and looked at the three ugly guys who came out from the backstage. Who are they? No one knew who they were except for one. Except for a sweaty, panting young man who appeared near the entrance of the stage. Ching Yiran, who took Bess from the old man with the afro. He was shocked to see Hong Guan on the stage, and the other two people beside Hong Guan. Why are they all here? Again banned, except for him, except for Hong Guan, except for Little Dream who had disappeared, the other two guys who had quit long ago. Ching Yiran. Hong Guan, who was bowing, suddenly raised his head and shouted at the microphone, "Ching Yiran? Do you hear me? Are you here? Are you looking at me? I am Hong Guan. He is Little Demon. He is the old devil. Are you looking at me? We are here. We are all here. I'm sorry." Hong Guan took a deep breath, facing the surprised audience, and roared loudly, "I'm sorry! At first, we quit one by one. One by one, we broke our previous promise. Life, livelihood, pressure. We are so overwhelmed by reality that we can't even lift our heads. We have to give up. To survive. I'm sorry. We are all cowards. I'm sorry. To be honest, I used to hate you. For a moment, I was extremely jealous of you. I never thought that after the day when I couldn't hold on any longer and proposed to you that I would quit, you would be recognized not long after. You walked on the stage that we never thought of before. I was really jealous. I really blamed myself. Why didn't I hold on for a few more days? But when I saw you singing our song again, on the stage in the recording studio that day, I suddenly understood. We have never been like you, sacrificing so much. Iran. Ching Yiran. Are you here? Are you looking at us? We are all here now. Hong Guan's eyes flashed with white and silver light. I know you must be here. So, I only want to say one sentence. You bastard, get up on this stage right now. Because He took a deep breath, exhausted all the oxygen in his lungs, and roared, "Because only when we are together can we be the real again band. The again that Xiao Meng brought to us. Cheng Yiran, come out." Hong Guan glared in front of him. "Is it your turn to be a coward this time? Cheng Yiran." That roar was like a subwoofer at the maximum volume, vibrating around Cheng Yiran, accompanied by his heartbeat, strong and powerful. A strength that came from nowhere made him subconsciously take the first step. The second step. 1 step forward, 2 steps forward, 3 steps, running. He ran down the stairs, rushed past the cameras in front of the stage, and climbed up from the bottom of the stage like a madman. Gasping, standing at the edge of the stage, and glaring at Hong Guan, Cheng Yiran said angrily, "You dare to say that again? Who is a coward?" "You are." Hong Guan stared back without backing down. "You bastard! You stupid donkey!" Cheng Yiran raised his hand, lifting up Bess in his hand. "Take it back!" Hong Guan stared blankly and said in surprise, How did you get it back?" Cheng Yiran smiled and said, "I picked it up on the road." Hong Guan laughed, and suddenly reached into his collar, and pulled out 2 necklaces. He tore one of them and threw it at Cheng Yiran. When he caught the necklace, Cheng Yiran suddenly looked up. Where did you find it?" Hong Guan said softly, "Stupid donkey, I also picked it up on the road. Come on, Cheng Yiran. Without you we can't do it." He walked toward Hong Guan subconsciously. Hong Guan didn't know the magic of the guitar, but he still stood on this stage bravely. Even if he might be facing ridicule and boos, he still dared. "But I am afraid. My music is not like this. The music I want, our rock, is not like this. I gave up on myself. I only thought that with the guitar, with its magic, I could ignore everything. I am really a stupid donkey. What is going on? Forcibly stirring up emotions? Was it arranged beforehand? For the effect of the show? So fake. Shoo!" Facing the discussion and scolding of the audience, the director of the show had no choice but to ask for instructions. How could they be so reckless? Feiyun Entertainment's newcomer this time? As the director of the show, he really didn't know that such a thing would happen. Didn't Cheng Yiran say that he was injured in a car accident and couldn't participate for the time being? But what made the director even more depressed was the quick response from the higher-ups. The director only heard that the higher-ups seemed a little depressed on the phone and helplessly said, "They agreed." Damn it! But the director really couldn't resist the order of this kind of person. He could only hurriedly arrange for the host to bear the pressure of the audience and announce that Cheng Yiran was allowed to go on stage again. It was simply a farce. The director even saw through the camera lens that many audience members had already stood up and walked toward the exit of the auditorium. After this, there would probably be another round of endless abuse on the internet, right? This show simply suffered the biggest black mark in its history. But what made the director even more indignant was that the troublemaker Hong Guan and the troublemaker Cheng Yiran were saying this on stage, as if they didn't care at all. These two, were they actually some mysterious second-generation heirs? Did they have a mysterious power behind them? But no matter how depressed the director was, on stage, Cheng Yiran, Hong Guan, Xiao Yao, and Lao Imo were reunited. They were talking and waiting for the arrangement of the program group. Xiao Yao, Lao Imo, Hong Guan, how did you find them? Cheng Yiran couldn't help but ask curiously. "Oh, I found Director Cheng." Hong Guan also had a surprised expression. "Actually, when I was told to go on stage, I suddenly had this idea. So I mentioned it. I didn't expect Director Cheng to really find them for me, and the speed was unbelievably fast." Xiao Yao, who had long hair and a common face, scratched his head and said, "That? I just got off work and a few guys in black clothes took me to a car. I covered my head and fainted. When I woke up, I was already here." Lao Mo also had a lingering fear. "It was the same for me. I just finished my drumming lesson and went home when I was kidnapped and brought here. If I didn't see Hongguan here, I would have thought that I was kidnapped, but that's not right. I can't even feed myself. Who would kidnap me?" Xiao Yao suddenly said. "But, I'm sorry. Qing Yiran, Hongguan, I was the first to quit. I didn't expect you guys to remember me here. I never even dreamed that I would walk onto this kind of stage, although..." Xiao Yao looked at the audience and shook his head. "Although they don't seem to like us very much." "Motherfucker," Lao Emo said, "it's so hard to get up here, we can't lose out. Let's do it. Let's sing. In any case, I used to be known as Hohai's little heavenly king of drums. Who's afraid of who?" It seems like they agreed. Hongguan glanced and then looked at everyone. "Since we're here, let's make our voices heard. Even if it's only this one time, we have to make the world remember us." Hongguan extended his hand. Xiao Yao and Laomo also extended their hands and placed it on top of Hongguan's hand. The three of them looked at Qing Yiran at the same time. Qing Yiran looked at the three people with a complicated expression. He took a deep breath and gently put his palm on the top of the pile. "What are we?" "Again banned." "Say it again, what are we?" "Again." They had smiles on their faces. Facing the unusually cold audience, facing the figures that had already begun to leave, they bravely raised their heads. Hongguan took down the guitar and placed it in Qing Yiran's hands. Without saying anything, he said, "You do it." "Wait. I'll play the best." Qing Yiran subconsciously hesitated and shook her head. This guitar, she couldn't play it. Since it was like this, she might as well help Hongguan at this time. But Hongguan didn't care. He put the guitar on Qing Yiran's body and put the bess on himself. "Stupid donkey, I'm your best hand." Qing Yiran silently swept the guitar strings and nodded. "Your fingers, can you play it?" "If it's this song, there's no problem," Qing Yiran said with certainty. He looked at Hongguan, looked at Xiao Yao, looked at Lao Mo and found that when the guitar sounded, they weren't infatuated. In other words, he still couldn't really use this guitar. But so what? Can't use it, so what? Qing Yiran walked to the lead singer's position. Hongguan was beside him. Xiao Yao was behind him. Lao Mo was also behind him. Can't use it, so what? Can the audience curse, so what? Can someone leave, so what? I've always been singing like this. I've always been singing like this. I've experienced no one's concern. I've wandered the streets. I've lived a precarious life. Qing Yiran thought about the road he had walked with the old man with the afro. He remembered the moment when he turned around and saw the stadium. "Xiao Meng, I'm sorry. Forgive me for deceiving myself. I thought that I persevered only because of you. In order to fulfill your dream. I persevered until now because of it. But when I fulfilled your dream and brought your song to the world, I finally understood. I should let go of you. I should face up to my own rock and roll. Because I, too, have always loved it. Love it not for others. Goodbye, Xiaomeng. My most beautiful dream. And now I want to once again, rely on myself to pursue my own rock and roll dream. This time for myself. Even if no one cares. No matter if this guitar is useful or not. I want to play it. I want to play it. I want to play it until my fingers break. I want to play it." Qing Yiran closed his eyes and adjusted his emotions. He held the microphone in his hand and said softly, "Forgive us for being willful and for the farce just now. But our voice will be heard again here. The following song had once accompanied us through many difficult times. I think many people will be encouraged because of it. The band that composed this song is also our favorite and also our goal." The sound of the electronic piano slowly sounded. Qing Yiran closed his eyes and sang softly. "Today I, watching the snow drift by in the cold night, carrying a cold heart, drifting far away, chasing in the wind and rain, can't tell the shadow apart in the fog. The sky is vast, you and I can change, who isn't changing, turning back. The person who left suddenly turned back. Those impatient people suddenly became quiet. They silently watched them on the screen, listening to the words one by one. They listened to the sound of the guitar, bass, the electronic piano, and the jazz drums intertwining. It stopped. They all stopped.